Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
And if you ask me, it's the Golden State Warriors who are facing the most pressure out of them and the Lakers. They play tonight. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. So you got the early game, which is the Lakers and the Pelicans. Perloff, again, we're talking about the NBA play-in, and then the Warriors and the Kings are the nightcap. And I think Golden State is feeling all the pressure in the world facing the Sacramento Kings.
Why? Steph Curry's a pup compared to LeBron James. Steph Curry's got 5 more of these playoffs. This is now or never if it's not now, when, LeBron?
Well, LeBron's going to play forever. I don't know if you got that memo. He still has to wait
Maybe so, but he's not going to win forever.
Well, he still has to wait for Bronny, so the calculus has changed a little bit for LeBron James. And I think the Warriors are feeling a lot of pressure here for a couple reasons. Number one, they have a major decision to make at the end of the year about Klay Thompson. And this could be the end of an era. To peter out or to wimp out or to, just sort of go away here against the Sacramento Kings and this be potentially the end of Steph and Klay and Draymond with Steve Kerr all together, that is not an ending that is worthy of what we saw from this core together. They also have a $177 million luxury tax. Believe it or not, this is a team that's built to win right now. The money tells you that they should be competitors. And you know what? 2 years ago, we didn't think that they really had a prayer and thought that all their winning days were behind them. And they were able to mount this great run and won another title. So to me, add in the Draymond drama and everything that you had earlier this year with him having to leave the team. Curry's been up and down, been injured. I just think the Warriors have to be looking at tonight's one-and-done game and thinking, it's a potential go-home game, and thinking, we cannot lose this game. We have all the pressure in the world on us.
I feel like nationally no one's paying attention to the Warriors as a potential championship run, which might be a mistake because they've been stuck at 10. Also, they have these young guys coming up. Like Kuminga is, I think, going to hit his peak in 2 years. So I think that they hope the young guys and Pods and these guys hit their stride just as Steph has a little bit left in the tank. So I think there's another run. Explain to me, if it's not now for the Lakers, when is this team going to win? Like, they have had this incredible run of Anthony Davis' health until a little bit recently, and they have LeBron playing like he's 30. Do you think that he's going to be able to do this again? Like, this is really now or never.
Well, it's now or never maybe LeBron on the Lakers, but this isn't now or never LeBron James.
Well, how so? Where's he? He's going to do another Miami Heat super team? You think where's he going next year? This is his best chance.
Well, it might be. It's a very good chance, although if they face off against the Nuggets in the first round, I'm not saying that it's impossible. I'm just saying I wouldn't be betting on the Lakers in that round. But here's the thing. I would not put it past LeBron James to be going maybe to your Philadelphia 76ers. What about the Dallas Mavericks? There are other landing spots for him. He's always wanted to play with Steph Curry. I don't know if they would welcome him to that team. Maybe they would. There's another move potentially here for LeBron James. So yes, while there's pressure, I guess, with the Lakers, he already won a title with them. Granted, it was a bubble title, but he still has one. And I don't know what the future holds. And if he played for another team, would you be that surprised?
Those situations would surprise me big time. First of all, he's going to go to Dallas and watch Luka dribble and shoot for 50% of the possessions. That seems like a weird fit to me. And also, Dallas would probably lose that team. They already have Kyrie. That is not. If I was going to put together a trio of superstars, that would not be my trio. Philadelphia, no. Joel Embiid will never be healthy for a playoff series. Never happening. I think LeBron is running out of time. And he has Anthony Davis here. That's as good a superstar as anybody you could imagine. He's a perfect fit with LeBron. They do different things. These other guys do the same things as LeBron. Also, the way they've been playing, they really geared up. I think they thought they had a chance this year. I think they tripped a little bit at the end of the year because of health, but I think they think they're geared up. They made it to the Western Conference Finals last year. I think they think they're a little better this year. So I don't know. It feels really now or never. If LeBron loses, say they do get to the first round and lose to Denver and it's bad, I think you're going to see a very deflated LeBron because I think he really believes this is a chance this year.
Well, you'll find LeBron James, and what's he going to do? He'll talk about retiring the next day to totally avert all the attention away from the fact they lost onto him. He's been a master at that. See, here's my question, though, about LeBron. Don't you think, yes, it's about titles at this point, but there are people like, you and others who I don't think LeBron can really do a lot more for his legacy here, right? Like, what is another title? You're never good. You people like you, not you, Perloff, but you never think that he's ever going to catch Jordan. And you don't think the longevity is a feather in his cap for the case against Jordan or him versus Jordan. So I'm just talking about legacy here for LeBron. What more can he do to prove to someone like you that he is actually the greatest player of all time? Because I think the calculus has changed for him. I think now he's thinking about Bronny. He's thinking about how do I get this going and how do I play with my son? Because he's never going to convert people who are Jordan people into thinking that he's the best ever.
He's an NBA player. He's not a writer for Bleacher Report. What does he care about the top 5 players of all time? He is actually out there.
You don't think he cares? Get out of here.
He had 28 points and 17 assists the other day. He's an NBA player who's focused on one thing, and it's winning a championship. I don't think there's no way. If he's thinking about legacy right now, that's bizarre.
No. We're talking about pressure. That's where this conversation started.
Right,
Who is more pressure, the Warriors or the Lakers? And I'm saying I think it's the Warriors because I think Steph still winning still adds to his legacy. I think people like you have already made up your mind about LeBron James. Winning a title doesn't do anything more for him. It
doesn't matter. He's not thinking, he can't possibly be thinking about history and legacy right now. He's got a very, very competitive team in the NBA playoffs. He is probably focused on tonight's game. This is about this year.
He's not. You and I'm talking about the public.
I'm just saying, but LeBron, but the question is who has more pressure, who is in a now or never situation. I think LeBron is very focused on this season. I think he knows he has a really good team. I don't think any of that history stuff, who cares about him versus Jordan? This is about 2024, and LeBron knows, this is a shot. I think he's going to be really deflated if they do not do anything in this playoffs.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Whereas Steph, I think, could be looking forward to, hey, we'll get him next year. This year's been kind of clunky. I think Steph, the Warriors 2 years ago had their run. I think he's gearing up for another run at some point. Maybe it's this year. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But I feel like the Warriors are kind of they see Kuminga. It's really coming up big time. Maybe they say next year is more of a year.
Yeah.
Whereas the Lakers, there is no next year.
Yeah, Kuminga also playing through a lot of injuries as well. We're asking who's feeling more pressure as the play-in games start tonight. Lakers are playing the Pelicans. That's the early game. And then the Warriors are playing the Sacramento Kings. That's the late game. And I do think it's the Warriors. You think that it's LeBron James and the Lakers. And again, I'll just go to, I think a lot of people for LeBron, there's no more discussion. You've either picked your side. You kind of are in your camp. Curry's a different type of discussion. I think him, in terms of pressure and where his place is in the game and all of that, is more about how he influenced the game, not a question of is he the greatest player of all time. He's going to be up there on the list, but his influence and how it's filtered to the youth sports and the rest of the league and all that and changed the league. For LeBron, I think a lot of people have put their line in the sand. You either think that what he's doing at 40 makes it more impressive than Jordan, or you don't. Or it doesn't matter to the equation at all. It's just longevity. He's compiling all of that. And that's why I don't know what another title does. He's not going to catch Jordan. It would be 5. It wouldn't be 6. And so I don't know exactly what he's playing for at this point. Now, I know what he's taking the court to play and win, but as far as the public is concerned, does a 5th title do anything for his legacy?
Well, first of all, it does. It's a huge accomplishment. If he wins a title this year, that's a gigantic accomplishment. He's 39. It'd be one of the most historic. It's kind of like Tom Brady winning at 43 with Tampa Bay, but even bigger. Yeah, I mean, I just think it's a little bit off how you're bringing this all to LeBron and Jordan. This is we're on the brink of the NBA playoffs. You seem to be making this, pulling back and looking at this historical thing. I do, honestly, I really don't believe LeBron James is thinking like that. I think he is a professional athlete who's focused on the now, and I think we should kind of take our cue from him. Who cares about LeBron Jordan? This is his chance, and I think he looks at it every year. Kind of like, this gets back to our Tiger debate. I just think that LeBron's like Tiger in the sense that he thinks that, man, I'm 39. I'm not who I used to be, but if I can put it together for this one run, man, it's coming. And I do think it'd be spectacular for all of us if LeBron made this run. And it would add, I disagree about the fact, I understand LeBron Jordan, but it would certainly add significantly to his legacy. I think this would be a massive accomplishment if he did it at this age.
Well, maybe he would turn some of the people who have, not I want to say the LeBron haters, but the ones who don't give him as much credit, right, because of the longevity, and think that sort of makes his case versus him versus Jordan. But the reason why I bring up the where is his place is because you just mentioned, who are the two people who you just mentioned in the last 2 minutes that he's most compared to? Brady and Tiger.
Right.
These people and these all-time great athletes are not in this for first-round matchups and second-round matchups. We're talking about titles here. And that's really, I hate to, just whittle it down to that, but that's really all that matters at this point. LeBron James doesn't get a participation trophy. He doesn't get a pat on the back if you go 6 games with the Nuggets and lose in the first round. We hold him to a much higher standard. That's why Tiger doesn't get pats on the back just for making the cut, or Tom Brady doesn't get pats on the back for losing in the divisional round to the Rams. These are the kinds of people who are only judged on titles because of how much success they've had.
Right.
And that's why I feel like I get why LeBron does have pressure, but I think that he's under a whole other calculus here, right? Whole different calculus at this point, where I think he just wants to play with Bronny, and I don't even know if he really thinks another title's attainable.
I mean, you saw him play the other day. He came out in that deciding game against the Pelicans on Sunday. He's like, I'm reminding everybody that I can be the best player in the world, and he's playing like that at certain times. So I think he knows he can dial up and just be the best guy out there at any given time. I think he thinks he can win a championship. I think that's his only expectation this year. Anything
Although
short
if Davis
of that,
isn't healthy and he left the game with back spasm and hip spasms, I mean, I know LeBron it's going to be harder to win if he's the best player on the floor. You really need Anthony Davis to be on a heater.
Maybe. I think there's only one team out there that they're scared of. I think LeBron thinks he can beat everybody else.
Yeah.
So it's just the Nuggets.
Just the Nuggets.
It's a Jokic, Murray, Porter problem where they have this gigantic, talented front line. I think they have the same problem as everybody in the NBA. But I think the Lakers believe, and I think LeBron believes, they're probably the second best team in the West. And they think if they probably want to play, I like this point, get the Nuggets early before the Lakers get hurt. That's going to be their toughest matchup. I mean, they could just bully ball some of these other teams. Like they're way bigger than the Warriors. The Mavs are sort of incomplete. I think that the Lakers might not be so afraid of the Nuggets early. It's a risk. But listen, I totally disagree with you about the mentality. LeBron is not thinking about Bronny right now. He's thinking about a title. And I think the fact that they're the second best team in the West or actually the whole NBA since February 1st means I think LeBron thinks, I got my squad. I'm ready to go. The one thing about, can we just get back to LeBron Jordan? I'm sorry to do this one more thing. It's not that LeBron can't catch Jordan. It's just like, I feel like Jordan is the most spectacular NBA player of all time.
Yeah.
It's like, there's nothing he could do because like Jordan was so good.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
So the debate's over.
Yes, Michael Jordan's the greatest NBA player of all time.
Right.
And LeBron is definitely not going to pass him. I mean, there's nothing like I just saw Jordan at his peak and I saw LeBron at his peak and Jordan was better.
Right. And that's where you and I will disagree, because it's one thing to be at your peak. It's another thing to sustain your peak for 20 years. And I think the fact that LeBron has sustained the peak for 20 years should count in this debate. And that's where you and I will never see this the same. But again, that's where I come back to LeBron, and there's nothing he can do to change people like you's mind. And a lot of people who believe that Jordan was the greatest player ever, and there's no debate about it, that another title doesn't do that for him, right? Because it gets him to 5. It's not going to get him to 6. And even if he did get to 6, I think people would say, well, it's later in his career and he might not have been the best player on the court and all of that. So he's never going to change people's minds about his legacy if you're a Jordan person. So honestly,
if you're a Jordan person, that's like, that's like if you thought Babe Ruth was good at baseball. I don't understand this. Everybody's a Jordan person. He was Michael Jordan. He's Air Jordan. There's no non-Jordan people, are there? Even if you get into this debate, you still respect Michael Jordan.
Obviously, but there are sides to this thing. We all know it.
No,
there are.
There are no sides.
See, again, this is why. Why even feel pressure if you're
Joel
LeBron?
Embiid wins a title, is he better than Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell? I mean, there's no sides in that debate.
You know that's not the same thing.
It's close enough.
I don't think so. But this is why, for me, LeBron, it's like, where's the pressure? You're never going to please people. You're doing it for yourself. I get that. But as far as you being measured up against your, the one person you're chasing the ghost of, the one person in this big, question about you versus Jordan, you're never changing people like Perloff's mind. And losing in the first round of the Nuggets isn't going to do anything. That's for damn sure. And so I think he's thinking now, maybe not today as he's lacing up the shoes, but he's thinking, all right, my next legacy is I'm actually going to play with my son.
I think LeBron James is an elite athlete. He's actually taking a game at a time. I don't think he's thinking about this gigantic conversation. I mean, genuine. Like, I don't think, I understand that Michael Jordan inspires him to be a better player all time, but do you honestly think he's looking at the Pelicans game and thinking about his legacy? There's no way. He's got a task at hand, Maggie.
He does.
He's got to figure. You saw the JJ Redick podcast. He's got some X's and O's to figure out. He's got some high pick and rolls to deal with. He is not thinking about any of that stuff. He's thinking, man, I really want to win all these playoff series.
Well, it's funny because we talked about whether or not this would be, totally against all rules of competition and everything LeBron and great players kind of stand for. But should they think about losing this game intentionally tonight to then get to the Warriors-Kings winner so that you would avoid the Nuggets? Like, if there's even any of that calculus going on, which I doubt, because, like, how could you really do that?
That's a tough calculus.
That's a tough calculus.
You do not want to see Steph Curry in a one-game playoff.
Also, it could backfire in such a spectacular way. I don't think teams can actually take that kind of risk. However, if there is a thought that that's their easier path, then you're already manipulating things. You're already saying, all right, I need to do this, to do this, to do this. Like, so don't just say, oh, he's taking it one game at a time. He's not thinking about anything else. If there is any thought about trying to maneuver around the Nuggets, then you are thinking about other things. You are looking down the road.
I'm 100% sure there is no thought about that.
Well,
because he's going to lose this game on purpose to face a Kings team that they're 0-4 against this year, or to face Steph Curry? No. That would be insane.
Again,
I've actually thought more about that.
But then you're going to play the Nuggets, and what's going to happen? I mean,
he could care. I mean, there's no way going out of the play-in. Now that's bad. I honestly this is actually kind of do or die. The Kings, Domantas Sabonis is like Wilt Chamberlain in the '60s against the Lakers. He completely owns them. There's no way LeBron wants anything to do with either of those teams.
So the question, EJ, can we put this up on the poll, please, at Maggie and Pearl on Twitter? Who's feeling more pressure tonight? I guess it has to be tonight, because if the Warriors lose, this is it. Who's facing more pressure? Steph Curry, LeBron James, Warriors, or Lakers? 855-212-4227. That is the number to call to get involved in the show. So much to do today. A lot happening yesterday. Got kind of busy around here. The WNBA Draft, we have our big takeaway from that. And the one way you know that there may be some equality between the men's game and the women's game happened last night at the draft. And we'll tell you why next. Maggie and Perloff. Across the country on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
What a night in the NBA. Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. We have Steph Curry and LeBron James in the play-in tournament. Still boggles my mind that the two greatest players of their generation are in this weird play-in tournament. But it gets you thinking about legacy. You know, what does this title mean for both of them? For Steph, he's a little bit younger, maybe has some more chances in my mind. LeBron, it is now or never. So this is a big legacy sort of playoff. It's going to be a tough assignment, but the Lakers are a sneaky good team if they're healthy.
What I think is also very interesting about this playoffs that we're about to embark on is obviously the Western Conference is way more stacked than the Eastern Conference. Yet the top seeds in the Western Conference all seem kind of vulnerable potentially, except for the Nuggets. Maybe I think they've earned the right to not be questioned. But you're telling me that Oklahoma City, there isn't a little vulnerability there because they're so young. You're telling me Minnesota isn't vulnerable. I mean, the top seeds, like there, I don't think there's any, there's not.
I don't even know.
It's not a fait accompli that just because you're a top seed in the West that you're going to get through anything.
Well, I mean, I don't think the T-Wolves are going to be favored. I mean, maybe they're slightly favored in the first round, but I don't think. Suns? Yeah, the Thunder definitely are not going to be favored if they face one of these older teams. The West is an anomaly. In my opinion, I think like everybody wants to play a T-Wolves on the Thunder, right? I know EJ is a big fan of these young teams because he's a youngster, but you're telling me Steph and LeBron get a hold of these guys, and to beat LeBron and Steph in 7 games is a thing.
You're saying EJ sees himself in who? Anthony Edwards,
Shea Gilgeous, and I see myself in Steph and LeBron.
Yes.
I'm going for actually there are middle-aged players on these other teams. You like these young
Your
kids.
role models.
I don't think listen, I don't know what the odds say, but I don't think anybody thinks Oklahoma City and Minnesota are dangerous in the West. I bet you there's picks out there. Everyone's picking the Nuggets. I mean, they're top of the mountain. But that's the problem. The Lakers, if the Nuggets weren't there, I would be so excited about the Lakers and your Warriors at your last dance. Either of those teams can make a run, but you have that Nuggets problem.
855-212-4227. So we started talking about what's on the line legacy-wise for both LeBron James and Steph Curry. Chad is in Boise, Idaho, of course. He's calling us on the line. What's up, Chad?
Hey, good morning, you guys. Thanks so much for taking my call.
You got it, pal. What's up?
Hey, so Perloff, you definitely could compete with Steph or LeBron.
You're right.
My thing is I'm like Perloff. I have always been a Jordan fan, and I think it's everything about this really almost goes beyond basketball.
Yeah.
Jordan didn't get wrapped up in politics, even though he was getting so much pressure and, standing up for something.
Yeah.
And Jordan was loyal to the Bulls, even though, they despised their general manager.
Sure.
And Jordan was just so dang tough. When they lost to Detroit, and the very next day, he's got the entire team, in the weight room. And honestly,
and that's why he's ahead. You don't think that LeBron has those same qualities, Chad?
I don't, because if you watch him out on the court, now granted, he's a great competitor, he's a great athlete, he takes care of himself. I think in his later years, he's definitely taken better care of himself than Michael did. I mean, you've never seen LeBron with a cigar. But that being said, Jordan's loyalty, his toughness, who could LeBron have honestly brought the worm along like Michael did, having to go to
well, Chad, here's the thing, though. Did deal with Kyrie. Not the same thing as Dennis Rodman, and thank you so much for the call, but a unique character.
Now, forget Kyrie. He had J.R. Smith.
Yeah, J.R. Smith, who did not understand what the score was in Game 1 of the finals.
Yeah, I mean, J.R. Smith didn't even own a shirt for a big part of his Cavs run. No, J.R. Smith was his crazy guy, I think. And everybody, and obviously, every great player, I disagree a little bit. LeBron's probably had a lot of characters through the years. Every great player has to have a run. This is why I love Draymond being a nut job for the Golden State. Curry's had Draymond. You need a crazy guy around you. So, but what do you think of that idea that Jordan is more dedicated, like more of a killer, and more of like getting the team in the weight room the next day? Do you buy that?
Listen, I think there's obviously tons of truth to this, and I think that they were just different kinds of leaders. And I also think that Jordan's aura has grown because of not just the winning, the crafty marketing, his own marketing. How we tell the story of Michael Jordan is just very different than how we tell about LeBron. You don't think LeBron's in the gym? I mean, the guy spent $1 million on his body. You don't think he's inviting guys over for basketball runs and stuff? They're just different, and it's looked at as knock because LeBron never punched a teammate as far as we know. That makes him some kind of softy. I always hated that. That comparison, like you have to be a complete and utter psychopath and basically, so demanding on your teammates at all times. I think LeBron is demanding. It's just not like Michael or Kobe might show it.
Well, did you ever see the documentary about the Redeem team, the Olympic team? It was very clear, like they needed a killer, so they brought in Kobe.
Yep.
And if there's such a thing as an NBA killer scale, LeBron is not where Michael and Kobe are, I think. But that being said, LeBron has some other attributes that are incredible, and he's not that far off. He's also a killer. I'm sure LeBron is that. But one more thing, Michael Jordan, yes, cigar, but LeBron has been getting hammered on this podcast, so I don't think
the red wine.
Yeah, I think
that's good for you.
The wine lobby's really good at getting that message out. 3 bottles of red wine, it's great.
It's like eating an avocado.
It's a PED. It's great for you. So he's getting hammered on this stupid podcast. So maybe he's letting his health go just a little bit.
It's like the tannins or whatever. I think it helps your elevation.
God.
It improves your eyesight. George is in L.A. Hey, George, how are you? That's what I'm telling myself.
Guys, good morning there. I'm going to go with, as far as the West favorites, I'm still going to go with Denver because I think of the Joker and his whole team and the coach and their discipline.
Yeah.
And they've been there, and they just know what to do when it's time to do it. I don't care. I don't think they really care if they were 1, 2, or 3 seed. I think they know what to do and take care of business. But one more comment I was going to make real quick. I think Larry Bird and Magic Johnson were just as good as Jordan and these other guys as far as discipline with their teammates and so forth. And that's just my opinion.
And Bill Russell. I mean, I think that there's a lot of guys, George, is a good point. I mean, a lot of guys out there who are holding people accountable. What I think is funny about this is like LeBron kind of gets knocked, if you will, or it's kind of a backhanded compliment or it's shade or whatever because he's not perceived as being the killer that Michael Jordan was, right? Yeah. Or punching teammates in practice or all of that stuff. Yet Steph Curry, we do not hold him to that standard at all.
Right.
It's Draymond is the leader. Or Curry, Draymond can be his guy and Curry, Draymond can be the goon and Curry sort of gets to step back or Curry can just lead by example. We're talking about the second best player of this generation. Nobody says a word about his leadership style ever.
Right.
Isn't that odd?
No, because no one's comparing Steph Curry to Michael Jordan.
Well, they compare him to LeBron.
Well, yeah, maybe. But LeBron has this Michael Jordan thing, this comparison that you keep pushing, and many others.
Yes.
Many others.
Just me.
Many others, I admit.
I'm keeping it alive.
But why would you compare it? Steph Curry's I've never heard of someone say, hey, let's sit down and break down Curry versus Michael Jordan. Because everyone knows if Steph Curry came out against Michael Jordan, he would shut him down for 94 feet and it'd be ugly. It'd be a massacre. I'm just kind of half kidding. But I just think that, you do bring up an interesting point. Curry's just a completely different thing.
Like floats totally on this leadership thing.
I don't think that that's Steph Curry's jam.
But you shouldn't be able to choose that because LeBron doesn't get to choose how people criticize his leadership style. So, you don't get to determine that. That's the public who determines it.
Is this a little bit of a height thing, though? I mean, or even a position thing? Because I don't think people looked at Matt Johnson and say, hey, Matt Johnson should have been. I mean, they did say he was a little smiley, but he didn't get he should be punching teammates or stuff like with Steph Curry. I think some of it's just
Magic had a lot of toughness questions. That was the problem. Yeah, no, people came after him for being Kareem was a real leader. There was all sorts of. We just don't remember. Right. And Magic would get his coach fired, be a prima donna.
That is a fact.
One thing, here's the thing: LeBron is number 2 on the all-time player list. Nobody's going to put Steph Curry really in number 2. I don't think. I think LeBron. I think that's the big difference. If Curry was challenging, where's Curry end up in the all-time player list? 6, 7, 8.
Right. So instead of 2, if you're 7.
Yeah,
nothing about how you were as a teammate or any of the permissive stuff with Draymond not holding him accountable.
Oh, come on. Steph's just going to go out there and trade. No, that's not his thing. He transformed the game by the way he plays, but you can't be an outside shooter who's a leader like that. It's just different. You know what I mean? Does anybody? No one has ever been.
What a cop out.
Cop out what?
You can't be an outside shooter and be a leader. That's
Larry
weak
Bird
sauce.
Is pretty ruthless as a leader. Larry Bird's pretty ruthless as a leader.
Larry Bird didn't even probably care what half his teammates were. He just went out there and played ball.
Larry Bird was ruthless to his teammates and the media and to their face. He was notoriously ruthless.
He was not your classic leader. Hey, rah rah, everyone rally around me.
No,
not at all.
I'm saying though, but his leadership style was basically, just berating his own teammates.
I think his leadership style was all on the court. From what I saw, he was never talking to anybody or never doing anything. He was just watch me play, and you better play up to my standard. I think Curry kind of does the same thing. As I remember, I'd like to see the rah-rah speech from Larry Bird as a leader.
There is
never
happened. There is no rah-rah. He had no problem, though, going to the media being that guy sucks, and if he doesn't play better, we're getting his ass out of there. That was his leadership style. And he would tell it to guys' faces, too.
Different kind of accountability.
Larry was very much a leader by example. I think, and Steph is the same way. Leader by just play like I play. I don't think that those guys really do leadership.
That's fine. I just don't want to hear then that LeBron is not a good leader. because his lead by example isn't good enough because Jordan was in people's faces. And it's just it's a ridiculous argument.
But you had just admitted LeBron was not a killer like Michael Jordan.
I think he's a killer in his own way. Let's get to Bogusch because he's got headlines for us, and it got busy last night.
It did. Everything's sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save nearly $750 on average. So call or click today and find out if we can save you hundreds on your car insurance. The Indiana Fever rolled the dice last night and went with CaitlinClark with the number 1 pick in the WNBA Draft in Brooklyn.
Shocker.
Then the real fun began with the LA Sparks taking Stanford forward Cameron Brink. Her dress last night almost as revealing as Perloff's Rowdy Roddy Piper killed and his soccer Halloween costume. The moral of that story is please wear clothes, pants, particularly Mr. Perloff.
It's a roundabout way to get to HR to tell Perloff to put some underpants on when you come to the office.
The Chicago Sky left the first round with South Carolina stud Camila Cardoso and LSU's Angel Reese. Now, right now, there are 12 WNBA teams. A 13th is coming next season, that one owned by the Warriors, and the league does not want to stop there. Here's Commissioner Kathy Engelbert on expansion yesterday.
We're on our way to 16. That will add 48 roster spots in just a couple of years. That in a league of 144 is a lot, so that's 30%. And I think it'll be great when we get those done over the next couple of years. So 26 is definitely our goal for certainly the next one. And then shortly thereafter, if not then, or the year or two after. So by 28, I'd say I feel pretty confident we'll be at 16 teams.
Toronto, Denver, Nashville, South Florida, Portland, and for some reason, Philadelphia, the possible new league cities. From the NBA, the Nets reportedly targeting Kings assistant Jordi Fernandez as their next head coach. He would replace Kevin Ollie, who replaced Jacques Vaughn mid-season. The Houston Astros will wake up this morning at 6-12.
1-1 pitch. Riley hammers one through the left side, a base hit. In to score Arcia. Acuna to third base. It's now 4-1 Braves. 4 straight singles. And the Braves have a comfortable 4-1 lead in the ninth. Still no one out, and here comes Olsen.
Austin Riley's RBI single, part of a 4-run ninth, which got the Braves a 6-1 win in Houston. New Astros closer Josh Hader charged with all of those ninth-inning runs, raising his ERA to 9.39.
Can I ask you a question about this? Because I've seen the Astros struggling. Does this feel more like the schedule? Because they've played a lot of really good teams to start, or are they really seriously in trouble?
I wouldn't say that they're seriously in trouble, but they're probably just a little bit flawed right now. I mean, Verlander's going to come back this weekend, which should help, but they've had some other injuries in the starting rotation. Obviously, their bullpen has not been great. And I'm trying to think health-wise, I think they're okay lineup, so that's just about production. I mean, it's April 16th.
That's true.
Teams go on 6-12 spurts. It feels weird when they start the season like that. But I'm assuming that they're going to be okay at some point. They might not win the division, but they're going to be a wild card contending team.
This feels like the Astros have dominated Major League Baseball. To see them playing like this to start a season is very odd.
Yeah, I mean, and this is year 2, right, for the new manager?
Yes.
Yeah, for a new manager.
Yeah.
So that's not really that's kind of off the table now, too. I just think this is kind of bad timing for a bad stretch.
I feel like they're the most, not disliked team, but everybody's like, oh, man, the Astros. I don't want to see the Astros. I hate the Astros. Just not because of the scandal, just also because they beat everybody.
Well, and
I mean,
scandal.
they've beaten so many teams, too. Like, my Phillies had no chance against them in the World Series. I feel like they're how good they've been since the scandal makes them even more dislikable.
Yeah, no, I think there's something to like a little smile creeps across your face just a little bit when you see the Astros are struggling. And again, this is what always happens when teams get really good. You get the backlash.
It is.
Yep.
It's Joe Espada's first year, so it's just transition for the team. You know, they're a team that has talent, so they'll get it done. It's just they're getting off to a rough start.
Yeah, and it's all really the only old guy on the roster, so to speak, is Altuve.
Right.
Position wise, Tucker's young. Bregman is not an old guy
and
yet.
Bregman's in a walk year too.
Yeah, Alvarez is still young. The shortstop Pena has not fully replaced. He was great in the World Series. It did kind of backstep last year.
He's getting there. They have the talent. They did. I think it's going to come together. Let's see what they are on Memorial Day. That's a good test for them.
was a real deep dive on the Astros,
Yeah, you're
everybody.
welcome.
There
How
we
about
go.
the Mariners?
All right.
weren't hitting. They
And
beat
that
the
concludes our Astros coverage for this month.
They beat the Reds 9-3. The Mariners did last night. The Orioles took their series opener with the Twins 7-4, and the Yankees lost in Toronto 3-1 a few hours after the abrupt retirement of legendary radio voice John Sterling.
As they go back to back, then a belly to belly.
The 85-year-old had already cut back his schedule, but his health concerns had become too concerning. Sterling will be honored before Saturday's game with Tampa Bay. It's just a shame that he can't. He's not going to. As far as I know, he's not doing another game at all.
I know. I was
like
bummed.
not even one goodbye broadcast. He's going to be in the booth for part of Saturday's game, but it sucks that he just has to go home out of nowhere, basically.
Yeah, I mean, at least we got a little of John Sterling this season. You know, you got him on a Soto home run. You got him. There's a few things that we heard from John. I mean, we've known him personally around here. Could have been a nicer guy, very welcoming when I got on radio in New York. And John would have this very funny, quirky thing he has tons of quirks, but he was very, very funny. And that if he would ever come into the radio station in the off season, which was very rare, because why would he come in? But he would just walk into the studio and sit down, and it was the best. It was like a wink, wink. We all knew it was going to happen, and he would just come in the middle of the segment and sit down, and all of a sudden we're talking Yankee baseball with John Sterling. It was awesome.
Did he come in with any weird calls? Like his first, we say, John Sterling's here, by the way. Did he just say something weird?
No, but I think he did feel, I can't speak for John, there was definitely some pressure about the home run calls. Because I remember when Giancarlo Stanton got traded from the Marlins to New York, he went to get some Italian phrases, and it got a little backlash in the beginning, and then everyone I think started to learn to love it. They hate Stanton, but they like the call.
Giancarlo, non si può stopparlo.
There was some controversy about what he was saying, and he's like, I got it from an accredited place, and
yeah, I always confuse that one, and there was a French one for Russell Martin, their former catcher. That one of them was just gibberish, it was not, it was not anything. I think it was the Russell Martin one, which maybe leads to him trying to do his Italian research for Stanton.
John is awesome. He's great. He and Susan do a fantastic job, and they already have a succession plan with Justin Shackle. So
it's remarkable from a broadcasting angle. Until he was 80, 81, he was doing 9 innings of 162 games.
Never missed an inning.
And that is nearly physically impossible. Everybody else who's not 80 does 5 or 6, maybe 7 innings max. Very few people were doing all 9. And John was doing all 9, all 162, plus playoffs until he was past 80.
Plus the pregame show. I mean, he was hosting a Saturday show at one point from the stadium. Yes.
Might be one of the last characters in the radio booth in baseball.
Well, you got Bob Uecker still doing it, right?
Yes. He's television, though, right?
That's what I thought.
Oh, is Uecker doing TV?
Yeah.
No. Uecker's TV. Their TV, his radio. Their TV guy is usually Brian Anderson.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Second to last guy.
Basketball. I guess there's some character. Howie Rose is definitely, we know him well here, but this is the soundtrack of the Yankees. I mean, even if you live anywhere, the Yankees are such a national team. How many afternoons did John Sterling keep you company?
Or even just watching.
That ball sure traveled far.
Or even watching ESPN or anything and getting the radio call that they'll play in a sports center. You always heard that voice. So it's definitely an end of an era for sure.
NL action last night. The Cubs outlasted the Diamondbacks 3-2 in 11 in Arizona. The Padres scored 6 in the 5th for a 7-3 win in Milwaukee. 2 victims from the car crash that Chiefs wideout Rashee Rice allegedly caused by drag racing in Dallas March 30th are now suing Rice, and SMU wideout Teddy Knox, who was driving the other racing car, for over $11 million. And the New York Rangers clinched the best record in the NHL last night by shutting out Ottawa 4-0 in their regular season finale.
Good job.
Thank you very much. Pete, guys, back to you.
Bogusch, thank you so much. Coming up, we will do our big takeaway from the WNBA draft. Again, the way you know that the women's game and the men's game, we're inching closer to equality, and I'll tell you why next. It's Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network. Caught it.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We'll get to the WNBA draft in just a moment, but Perloff, you saw that yesterday you had all the rest of the NFL teams were opening up their voluntary sort of off-season stuff
Love it. Let's go. NFL, it's right around the corner, sort of.
Yeah, draft's 9 days away. We'll get there. Meanwhile, the team that so many are focused on because of how they played last year, the Houston Texans. So here is D'Amico Ryans, says the Texans are not worried about the expectations because they still see themselves as the hunters.
We're always hunting. That doesn't change for us. We're always hunting. Expectations on the outside, whatever that may be, it really doesn't change who we are, right? It doesn't. The expectations from the outside don't permeate inside our building, and now we have to change what we're doing just because of outside expectations. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah, good job, good effort there by D'Amico Ryans. I'd be saying the exact same thing if I were the coach of the Texans, but that's not the reality of what we live in. You can't guarantee that that's how your roster is going to feel because there's just no other way to put it. I would say besides maybe the Green Bay Packers, is there a team whose expectations have jumped more in the last year than the Houston Texans?
I think the Lions being third favorite in Super Bowl odds is a new territory. Don't you think nobody had the Lions in the top 15 last year?
No, but the Texans are last year's Lions, where they ended the season on this really good note, missed the playoffs, but that really good game in Green Bay to send Aaron Rodgers out the door put a lot of expectations on them. This is what the Texans are dealing with now. And to be fair, the Lions handled it well, but the Texans, different kind of calculus.
Well, yeah, I don't think I kind of believe him. I can't imagine that in that building there's some sort of like we earn this, like, or any kind of entitlement. I would bet that they're still hungry because they are, first of all, they're a very young roster. They haven't won that much. I understand the outside hype, but I doubt they're walking around saying, wow, we've already accomplished something. First of all, D'Amico Ryans does not seem like the kind of coach who lets that happen. He's a defensive coach. He was from a Niners team. He's kind of hardcore. I can't see any of this dangerous sort of we did something already mentality sneaking in at all. That does not worry me.
No, I'm not worried about the entitlement. I don't think they believe, we deserve to be in the Super Bowl next year. I'm just saying it's very different when you're the out of nowhere team versus the expectation team. And it's one thing for the coach to try to message, hey, we're still the hunters here. And you can try to play these mind tricks and mind games with yourself, but that might not be what CJ Stroud is feeling. The expectations on him that he's an MVP candidate. You've traded for Stephon Diggs. That's a win now person. You're in this sort of win now mode as opposed to pleasantly surprising people with how good you are. You can try as you might to seal off the locker room and keep everyone, hey, we're the hunters here, but the toothpaste is out of the tube. I hate to use the cliche, but it's already happened, and the Texans are facing these big expectations.
Yep.
I think I'd rather lean into it. Hey, we realize that we have a lot of expectations now. We're trying to live up to them as opposed to denying that. Hey, we're still the back of the pack here. No, you're not. You're what, third in what was the Super Bowl odds?
They're seventh right now.
Okay, so you're a top 10 Super Bowl odds team. You're expected to do good, big things this year.
Yeah, and I think they will. CJ Stroud strikes me as a different cat. That he's one of these like Tom Brady, California guys who I watched him throw out the first pitch yesterday. He just seems like he is completely relaxed at all times. Mm-hmm. I don't think that, Tom Brady was always able to sort of manufacture bulletin board material. CJ Stroud does not strike me as a guy who he's going to sort of let these expectations affect his play in any way. And here's the bottom line. You could talk about favorites. You could talk about adding Stephon Diggs. The reality is any hot young team, if you hit and in the draft a quarterback, you are going to be in this position. And the Texans hit big time. So I think all the expectations are fair. Same with the Packers and Jordan Love. I think if you get that hot young quarterback, you got to be thinking like that. You got to be thinking, here we come. And I think the Texans are still going to have that. And CJ Stroud, like all great quarterbacks, he has a backstory where he can always generate bulletin board material, overlooked at certain times of his career, stuff like that. He's fine on that front.
No, the cognitive test, right? That said that he was not going to have a great career.
He was not like a surefire thing at Ohio State either. Like he sort of had to win that job. There was a lot
after the Georgia stuff.
Yeah, CJ Stroud has always been. He's not a guy who's going to be entitled in any way. I think. Yeah, he's going to be good with this. I think he's the right mentality to handle these new expectations.
Yeah, sorry, I was confused with Justin Fields for a second. But here's the thing: I think that it's one thing for the coaches to understand it. Like, this is what I'm saying about D'Amico, saying, listen, we're still the hunted. We're not letting any of that come into view. It's just not reality, because that's not the reality your players are going to be living in. They're going to be feeling like there is pressure, and I think that's fine. I think it'd be embracing the expectations and saying, listen, we get it. There's going to be targets on our back this year. Things have changed. We went from being a hunted, but now we realize that we're one of the great teams in the AFC, and we're trying to live up to that. Because when you deny that these expectations exist, that's when I think you can get into trouble, because that's not the reality your players are living in. You can try to convince yourself otherwise, but you're going to see the Texans are probably going to have 6 primetime games. Things are going to change for them this year.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I still think it's going to be a matter, as you would say, the offensive line should go out there and push around the guy. Like, I think they're going to be pretty professional and focus on the task at hand. I don't think any of this big stuff gets to them. And it's football. It's, just go out there and hit somebody.
The big expectations for one player solidified last night. We'll get to that next. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
With the first pick in the 2024 WNBA Draft, the Indiana Fever select CaitlinClark, University of Iowa.
It was expected, but special night for the WNBA. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. CaitlinClark goes number 1 to Indiana. And Perloff, there's a lot of things we want to take away from this draft last night, which I thought moved really quickly. You know, it was only 12 teams, so it moves fast. You didn't have a lot of confusing trades. Like, I like the presentation, the broadcast. They did a fantastic job, and that's what it is, a TV product. But, you know, I thought this when I saw Caitlin and doing some of her interviews after. She seemed more relaxed maybe than she has in a while. I wonder if there is a little bit of, not that the pressure's off, because now she's just being tasked with like raising an entire professional league, but I wonder if she's feeling a little like, I bet the unique pressure of what she was dealing with in college to be the only player really at Iowa who anyone, you know, no offense to the rest of the team, but like, no, they were all there only to see Caitlin.
Sure.
And while that may happen a bit, at least there's a little bit more stardom in the WNBA. She'll be the hot ticket. She said it last night, but maybe she doesn't feel like she has to carry such a large amount of the load now that she's playing and going to play amongst other pros.
Wow, that's interesting because, first of all, I always thought CaitlinClark had an incredible ability to not feel pressure in big moments.
She says that.
She's got, she's got a little Tom Brady, Eli Manning, like the fourth quarter doesn't bother me kind of thing. But the other thing, too, is I think they're still the same. She is going to be doing the same thing to the WNBA that she did to women's college basketball. The ratings are going to go up like crazy. Yeah. I understand what you're saying in theory, but I still feel from the outside that there's a lot of pressure on her to be good immediately.
Oh.
If she's not good, that's going to look really bad.
Oh, no. And I don't know how many of the casual fans are going to stay if she struggles.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about her specifically. When they asked her, what are your new team getting or whatever, what do you want to, what's going to be your first, imprint on the WNBA, she's like, I want to smile more and have fun. No chance CaitlinClark was saying that at Iowa. I think she probably had to feel, even if she didn't play like the weight of the world's on her shoulders, she's carrying a program at that point and women's basketball, and just sort of like, here's the thing. The expectations in the first year for her, is it going to be to win a title? No, right? There's a reason why the Fever have the number 1 overall pick, even if she gets to play amongst other good players. I think it's different. Just making the playoffs, I think, would be an achievement, or her having a good season would be an achievement. When she's at Iowa, it was about Final Four is a given, and championship game and championship was really where her sights were set. This is a little bit more of a moving target in terms of how the season goes. Do you
really think that she thought she was going to be able to get through with that Iowa team? I mean, they weren't really close in either.
Back-to-back title games.
They weren't really that close in either of those games, and they were definitely outgunned.
No, but Final Four was the minimum, and that's a very difficult thing to get to.
Well, I think 2 years ago they were a bit of, not that they were a Cinderella, but they had a little bit of a upset because they beat South Carolina. That was a David beat Goliath situation. So I'm not sure it's that much different. I'm not sure the dynamic changes here. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised if she doesn't score 20 points a game.
Yep.
Which gets us to an issue from last night. She came out, and consistent with her attitude, she said, I want to be known for my passing as a rookie. I think there's going to be expectation. Like, you got to do the CaitlinClark thing. You got to shoot 40-foot shots. So will she have the same style of play? She's not going to have the green light she did at Iowa. So what are we getting out of Caitlin? Or will she have the green light? Like, what style of play is she going to be allowed to do? And what should she do? Because I got to be, as a fan, I want to see her be Steph Curry. I want to see her get over half court and fire up a shot. And I was getting the sense last night, I'm going to try and integrate with the team. And I'm not sure that's going to work perfectly.
Well, we'll see. It was, I believe what you put on social media was like, yeah, right. It's how you put it. She's going to be passing. Yeah, right.
Well, she's an amazing passer.
She is a great passer.
Got like Larry Bird, LeBron James vision. I'm totally down with that. But she's also the greatest scorer the sport has ever seen. Like, she cannot get out. What's her mentality? I want to see her go out there and be a gunner, not a passer.
Right.
Because she's a great outside shooter. It'd be really interesting. Honestly, I think she's going to score 20 points a game. And I think that is really, she's
basically been warned by Diana Taurasi and others is going to be the reality is coming for CaitlinClark. So
I want to see her get a high volume of shots up. So even if they don't win, she scores. That's what I want to see as a fan. Now, I really think this is all like really important to her. Like, well, who am I going to be? Am I going to be a team player? Am I going to sort of let my game? Am I going to sort of put my game on the back burner so I can be part of the Indiana Fever, or is she going to be the star?
This is what we're talking about. CaitlinClark going number 1 in the WNBA draft last night to the Fever is maybe a bit of an identity crisis. We don't know. And that's going to depend on coaching too with Tamika Catchings, who's her coach. But what are they going to do? LeBron went through this early on. Remember, it was like passing in the big moments. And, when he went to the Heat, then it's Dwayne Wade has to tell him, hey, this is actually your team. It's not my team. I mean, to think there's going to be no growing pains here. You're saying she's going to score 20 points a game. I don't know if it's going to be that smooth of a transition because she might have these questions about who am I as a basketball player when I'm playing with all these other incredible stars.
Right. And also, what is the other team going to do when I walk out of the court? Are they going to be targeting me? I think that's a real thing, too.
This is why, again, I thought last night it seemed like a little sigh of relief. And I know that's not how we've been talking about her with it going to the WNBA, that it's been all about she's got the pressure now to carry this league and the season tickets are up and it's going to be a hot ticket to watch the Indiana Fever. I think she is feeling a little relief. Like, finally, I got Aaliyah Boston here. I don't have to do everything on my own.
I don't know. I'm not sure any basketball. First of all, people like to do everything on their own. Like, you get on a pickup team, you might want lesser players around you so you can take 20 shots. I have trouble believing that she's going to transition into this different player where she's looking around and be like, oh, okay, I'm happy that someone else is shooting. But she's a scorer. It's so deep in her mentality.
But does she want to be a winner?
Yes, she does. But I think she reminds me a little bit of Steph Curry. Like, can you imagine Steph Curry if he was playing traditional point guard and just not taking those gigantically long shots? She's got to come out there and do the CaitlinClark thing. I'm sorry.
I think that's what the fans want for sure. Yeah, EJ.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about rookies, the last rookie in the WNBA to average 20 points was A'ja Wilson, who's, of course, the best player in the WNBA right now. That was in 2018. Rookies typically don't come in and average 20 points. It's just not a thing. And it's especially more difficult for guards. Guards come into a league that is filled with a lot of really talented women, and it's not that easy to just come in and just jack up a bunch of shots. So she's coming to the team with some other scorers, Kelsey Mitchell, of course, Aaliyah Boston. I wonder if she looks at this team and say, hey, this team maybe doesn't need me to average 20 points or shoot 40-foot
But Perloff's asking, can she play a different way? Do we get the magic if she, and what people are there to see?
Right.
Because
Well,
that's a big part of this also.
Also, if they're not really a legit contender yet, maybe it's, we've seen this in the NBA too, where guys come and you get a high volume of shots for the rookie star. Like, I mean, listen, Wemby didn't win anything this year and he still had a great year. Like, I'm okay with that. Like, let's do a Wemby thing.
Yeah, he lived
they were
up
the
to
worst
the
team in the league,
expectations, quote unquote, and they are not even sniffing the playoffs.
They won like 16 games. They were terrible. I don't know their actual number, but they were terrible this year. So I think you can be on a bad team and, she could score 20 points, EJ, if she just takes enough shots. Like, let her fire it up there.
I know. I just think she's going into a locker room, and I don't know if it's going to be a Pistol Pete deal. Pistol Pete had problems when he went to the Atlanta Hawks and him taking a bunch of shots, and the players didn't like it in his locker room, and that's why they got his ass out of there. Like, I wonder, can you come into a locker room with other grown men and women, other good players on your team? They lost a lot of games. They got a lot of scorers on the team. Say, hey, you guys get out the way. I'm taking 25 shots a game. It's a lot easier said than done.
Yeah, but it's on the coaching too to manage everybody's expectations and to say, like, this is the way we're going to win or this is the way we're doing it, and either you like it or you're going to leave, because Caitlin's the one who's got the leverage now. She's got the power. She's the most powerful person in that team, no doubt. And this happens on the men's side too. And another thing, we're talking about the WNBA last night, the draft was held. To really create equality here, I think, amongst the men's and women's team, men's and women's sports, rather, I've got to mention this. CaitlinClark will continue the long tradition of regrettable fashion choices at the draft. She will. And not because she didn't look great last night. It's because she went so trendy with the outfits. These women looked amazing. I mean, they were all dressed like to the nines. But she went so trendy with the outfit, Perloff, there's no shot that that's going to hold up. I'm not saying she doesn't look good now. I'm saying in 10 years and 20 years, how we look back on Carmelo Anthony's bad suit and LeBron James's bad suit and, like, was it Drew Gooden with, like, the oversized stuff? When you go for the trend, it's not going to age well. And CaitlinClark delivered on that, too, because her outfit was so trendy.
I genuinely disagree with this. I think that her outfit was kind of classy. Relatively. So what? She shows some midriff. My 12-year-old and 13-year-old daughter are basically half naked all the time. No. I mean, everybody shows midriff. I thought it's not that wild. It's not a big red sparkly suit. Honestly, do you see Angel Reese's outfit?
It was pretty amazing too.
Yeah.
It had a hood.
It was a sparkly Jedi outfit.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Honestly,
Again, also not going to age well.
I thought we should maybe craft a tweet on this. I thought Caitlin was a bit conservative because it was kind of cool, because it looked like from one angle when I saw her do her first interview, like, oh, she's not even wearing anything nice because it was a white shirt, and then you couldn't see, and then she had to reveal it so you could see there was a sparkly
midriff.
Tube tip.
Listen, it's Prada. I'm not saying that it wasn't nice or that it didn't look nice. What I'm saying is it upholds the tradition of being so on trend that there's no way in 10 years or 20 years we're going to look back and say that it's going to look dated, because that's the thing about fashion. It keeps moving all the time so that they can keep selling us different clothes and keep this billion-dollar industry alive. So there's just no chance everything's going to be trendy in 10 years or 20 years. That's the nature of fashion.
But I think that she did not go super trendy. I thought she went a little conservative.
A midriff and a short skirt you thought was conservative.
It wasn't that short. Was that was not
short.
A short skirt. Walk around New York in the nice weather today, that is not a short skirt. I didn't think the skirt was even notable.
All right.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but I didn't think her outfit was so bizarre.
No, she's dressing like your teenage daughters now, because your teenage daughters are also dressing on trend. They're not going to dress like this in 10 years. It's going to be a different fashion. They'll be in a different cycle.
Yeah, I don't see it as radical as a guy, like guys in the 1990s would wear. It looked like a suit out of Guys and Dolls.
It was so big, a gangster suit.
I don't even know what the heck they were wearing.
Yeah. I'm telling you, it's going to look the same. So I like that.
I hope we're on the air long enough. Yeah. I do not think anybody's going to come after that outfit.
No,
I don't think, because people would come out after
man. This is the equality that we can also talk about the women's suits and the women's outfits, not their suits.
I hear you, but I just think you're wrong about this outfit. I don't think it's that radical. I don't think it's Akeem wearing a red bow tie. I think
she's wearing a button-down shirt over a crop top. What are you talking about?
I don't know.
And a short skirt. This is not exactly a three-piece suit. This is not business casual, which it shouldn't be, by the way. That's not the critique. The critique is that it's so trendy that it's going to look dated, just like LeBron James's suit looks dated, and just like Carmelo Anthony and all those guys.
She looks like a star today.
Yeah, today.
she looks awesome. I agree with Maggie. I think in 15 years,
but
it's going to
even
be like,
even in the time for all those great draft outfits, we knew they were ridiculous at the time. First of all, they weren't even trendy. Like, there was no, I'm looking at some of the old outfits. Like, guys are wearing crazy stuff.
And this is going to be in the same vein.
No, these weren't even fashionable. They're just like, what is this dude wearing?
I'm telling you,
those big suits that at the commercial with Carmelo and Kendrick Perkins.
Yeah.
Like, those suits were definitely the thing. You had to wear baggy suits.
Yeah.
Big neck tie, the tie with the big knot. Like, that was definitely trendy.
And you know what? The big suit actually came back around in an even cartoonishly bigger way, but it still looks totally off trend. Pete, what did you think?
I thought she looks fine. I don't know what we're complaining about.
Critiquing the outfit?
No.
She looked great. That's not the critique. It's that it's so trendy, it's not going to age well.
Not to me.
All right.
But, I'm the last guy you ask on fashion. I'm wearing an Islanders sweatshirt. So, I mean, I think they all looked tremendous. I thought it was a great showing for the WNBA. I thought it was a great night and a night they can build on, and the fashion helped it.
Yeah. No, the fashion always helps the draft. Like, that's a big part of the NBA draft and now the WNBA draft. And listen, they all were decked out. I also thought another storyline that we should watch out for is Angel Reese and Camila Cardoza, two players who battled each other in the SEC and even going back to high school, Perloff, SEC and LSU respectively, now teaming up to play with each other in Chicago. That is a really cool story, and that's going to be a hell of a front court. But that's a really cool story with players who were, scrapping with each other, really had some bad blood. Now team up is a cool storyline.
Gotcha. You know what I'm curious about? I've never watched a WNBA draft, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
That the mock draft was 100% accurate.
Well, it's only 12 teams.
Yeah, is it that easy? Well, yeah, but why was it? How come there was no drama last night?
They didn't have the confusing trades where, like, someone comes up and they're in a Hornets hat and then 20 minutes later they get traded to the Nuggets or whatever. And so all the trades were done beforehand. So it moved really fast, and it was easy to follow.
It takes away from the event if it's so predictable, though. I think one of the great things why you watch a draft is you don't know what's going to happen. So last night felt like a coronation more than hey, what's going to happen?
Sure.
I would like to see a similar draft where we didn't know. That'd be great. Because listen, the NFL is the king of making the draft into a TV product.
Definitely.
It's crazy that they've been able to do this. So that's the only thing that was lacking was the drama last night. Like, everyone in the building knew exactly where everybody was going. It was still kind of fun. I was into it, but I wish there was a little more excitement. Also, too, there was that sense like the pick would happen. Everyone's like, oh, this is exactly what we knew would happen.
Well, that's what's going to happen, at least at the very top for the NFL draft. We all know Caleb Williams is going number 1. After that, it's maybe a little more of a question mark, but we know who the top pick is.
We're not talking about we know what number 1 is. Yeah, that's a lot different than knowing what the top 10 picks are going to be.
855-212-4227.
I just feel like I think the fashion made up for the lack of drama.
Yeah.
To me, I kind of didn't care about knowing who the pick was going to be. It became like, hey, what's this next woman's going to be wearing? Because the outfits were, these women to me looked larger than life. Like, I'm a big WE fan. I felt like I was watching like WWE women who are supposed to be larger than life characters. And I think the WNBA really delivered, not only with the stars that we do know, but some of the stars that we didn't know also were like really decked out. To me, like, this was like basketball meets like New York Fashion Week, which is not the draft. Yes, the NBA draft is about fashion, but not like this. This was different.
The other part of this is I think that you're seeing an opportunity for designers now. Angel Reese, she announced she's going to the WNBA in Vogue magazine. So you're going to have designers who are lining up to dress these women just like they do with the men to try to give them cool style. And, everyone has stylists or whatever, and they'll pick it out for them. And that made it cool, too. It's cool now for fashion people to be involved in the WNBA. And what was interesting? I don't know if you guys picked up on this either, which is there were 2 different times this happened in the 12 interviews of women who were drafted. And they both said, I'm hoping to give my family a better life. Did you guys hear this? Did you pick up on this? I'm hoping to give my family a better life. And what's interesting about that is that's amazing that these women can deliver on that or feel like they can, because you're not walking into $20 million here. This is not the men's game. You're walking into $75,000 or $100,000.
Right.
That's not life-changing money for generations. I'm not taught. This isn't, when LeBron James, comes into the league and immediately become a gajillionaire overnight. And so I thought that was very cool that they realize that this thing is continuing to grow. There's other marketing opportunities, and other ways that they really can give their family a better life. It's not just going to be their WNBA salary.
Oh God! Can we give me the NFL draft and tell me who the Vikings are going to take? I have to watch the draft for the fashion, and so I can have the feel good stories with the with the piano music background. Give me a draft. Like you guys are. I understand you're hyping this draft up, but I'm not watching next year if this is what you're selling me.
Perloff, the NFL draft is
awesome.
Of course. It goes so over the top with the stories.
Yeah, I know, but
there's the sob story after sob story after this person.
We all make fun of it, but the reason that anyone is watching the NFL draft is because we want to see who the team is taking.
Perloff, let's be real. Let's be 100. Cameron Brink's dress is bringing people back to the draft next year. Angel Reese's dress is bringing people to the draft next year.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Do you really think this draft is going to become a thing once these stars are not in it?
Well, again, this is the question about what impact does Caitlin and maybe this whole draft class have on the sport? What's the staying power?
I think when we talk about women's sports, if we're being real, I do not mean to objectify at all, but like the aspect, the sex factor that comes with that, and the women looked fantastic last night.
Yeah,
I think that adds something to last night and to the draft that you just do not have with an NFL and NBA draft. Like it's a totally different thing. Like Karen Brink is trending last night because of this dress she's wearing, and it's a lot of people being like, "Hey, I'm just saying." So like, if we're talking about like what's going to bring people next year, I think a lot of people who've watched the draft for the first time are like, "Wow, these women look fantastic!" Like again, it was like watching a fashion show, and people are into that.
I understand what you're saying, but I do think it's a growing gap between the NFL draft and every other draft. Like other leagues see the NFL and trying to build this up, but there's nobody like, let's be honest, the NBA draft is a shadow of what it used to be because of the structure of the sport.
You're right, but let's not pretend like because it's a TV product, let's not pretend like the NFL draft doesn't try to sell us on the stories.
Right, but let's not pretend.
They do the same thing.
I understand, but you could feel the energy in that building. It was actually pretty close to my house. Was nothing like an NFL draft because there was definitely a coronation feel last night. There was a little bit of something lacking. Honestly, the setup of the draft, they were at tables. For the NFL draft is, they take it out to Nashville with 200,000 people. It's a much different thing. I think the NFL has mastered it. And part of the reason is because there's a sports, you want to see what your team's going to
do. More than double the amount of teams in the NFL.
Also too, I think the NFL has blown away the NBA draft. I mean,
that's true.
Like to smithereens too. So it's not just a WNBA. I'm just saying, yes, the WNBA draft was cool, but let's not mistake this as it's going to become an event like the NFL draft.
I don't think anyone's saying that. I think you're saying that. I don't think anyone is. I think we just have an appreciation for the TV product that it was last night. It did deliver because the fashion was there. They did try to play up the storylines. There wasn't a lot of, maybe surprises, although you did have the draft and stash Europeans. You had some women who had to wait around for the second round, a little green room type of situation, even though they were at tables. You had it all, and they moved it fast, and I think that was a really big part of it. Like the picks were coming in really quickly, and that it wrapped up in an hour.
I understand. I just think that it's important to keep what ultimately is going to grow the league is the sports competition, not these other things. So you got to, I think, and Caitlin has done a great job. Caitlin would not have mattered at all if she didn't get to the title game 2 years in a row and become the all-time leading scorer. Like,
of course, it's about
I'm
the sport.
Curious.
This is the ancillary stuff that comes around with building.
Yeah, and I understand. I mean, listen, if they're selling sex appeal, great. I probably will tune in. I'm not going to lie. And it was really cool.
A man with two eyes.
But I did. There was just something missing last night. I just felt like, oh man, this is a little more boring. So I flipped over to the once Angel Reese went, then I immediately flipped over to ESPN2 because they were doing a Mel Kiper, Adam Schefter mock draft, and I'm like, oh, I got to watch that.
Well, now that's your catnip. Coming up, we will have Perloff's NFL draft rumor of the day. I know you're excited about that. Also, some controversy on the men's basketball side. We do all that next. It's Maggie and Perloff. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff Show. Is this the Bosom Buddies theme right there?
It's a Billy Joel.
Yeah.
Hey, what happened the other night? They were showing some Billy Joel concert, and right when he was hitting like the big Piano Man part, they cut away.
Yeah, I keep hearing about this, by the way. People are painting this
Pete,
as the
I'm
worst
surprised
mistake.
you're like, sorry.
People are painting this like the worst mistake CBS has ever made. Like they cut off the Super Bowl or something. What happened?
It's not like I haven't heard Piano Man before.
Yeah, right. None of us know how that song ends. So
what happens here?
I saw that he released this gigantic statement about what happened, and people were big mad.
Wait, Billy Joel had to
Billy Joel released a statement.
What
I think
did he have to do with
CBS
it?
released a statement.
Oh, gosh.
It was a local cutaway. It happens. All right, move on.
Oh, Pete, I thought you'd be incensed.
I love Billy Joel, but I mean, it's not like he's debuting with something so new that we have not seen it before, that the cutaway destroyed that.
Yeah, I mean, if he was doing something new, we definitely wouldn't be watching. But Piano Man will stick around for.
I don't know if we'd be watching some of this new stuff.
That's what I'm saying. That's the time to go to the bar and get a drink. When he's playing Piano Man, that's when you got to be up front.
It's the time to get a bottle of red and a bottle of white.
And bang yourself over the head with both of them. Oh, well, that was fun.
What was weird about it was like that stupid tracker show that's new. They played that in its entirety post golf, which then went past the start time of the Billy Joel thing. But then didn't let Billy Joel play out. So at 11 o'clock, the news started, and they were like, peace, we got to go. I don't know why they feel that they need to go back on schedule.
Why do you got to take a shot at Justin Hartley and Tracker? What's that about?
I'm just amazed.
There's no way that show's good.
What are you talking about? It was on after Super Bowl. Justin Hartley's awesome.
It's amazing to me that CBS has the number one everything, the number one comedy, the number one drama, the number one dramedy, the number one NCI, all these number one shows. I don't know anyone that watches them.
Oh, you guys are such elitists. Oh, my God. This is ridiculous.
You watch Blue Bloods? Get out of here.
No.
Okay.
But
There you go.
I don't get up there and say that the shows that everyone watches are bad.
No, but you watch CSI Myanmar? No shot.
I would.
You could.
I knew where and when they were on.
I watched
CBS.
CSI Wakanda.
Yeah, maybe they should do that.
Yeah, a little Marvel connection, maybe.
Then
Okay,
they're
but
going to lose me.
That being said, we've all watched 1,000 episodes of Law and Order, right?
That's NBC.
Mm-hmm. But my point is, isn't CSI the same darn thing, except a different version of it? So why wouldn't I watch CSI if I watch Law and Order?
I don't know. People like what they like.
It's ripped from the headlines, just like Law and Order. And obviously, a lot of people like CSI.
I'm not saying they don't. I just think I do think it's a little funny. Not the tracker. It's just we're finding a million ways just to do the same show, and that's not that's not an indictment on CBS. That's an indictment on all of television.
Law and Order is Dr. Pepper.
Have you guys ever seen Tracker? Tracker's not like any other show. So he's this weird guy who pays
wildfires.
people. No. You pay him to find people.
Oh, I thought it was a wildfire show. You're telling me wildfires aren't getting involved?
You just said he fights wildfires. That has nothing to do with the show.
Watch that show.
In Maggie's defense, the commercial that ran forever during the playoffs is him in the woods. So I could see why you might have thought it was
there's a
wildfire
big show where people fight fires. There is a huge show.
I'm sorry, I got my wires crossed a little bit.
What is
Forgive
that
me.
show called?
The
Chicago Fire?
911?
No. There's a forest fire show that the commercials run all the time.
Whatever they're showing
Fire
me,
Country on CBS.
Thank you. Whatever they're showing me during football is what I know.
Right. But that 911 show, I think, EJ, that you just mentioned, had an episode where a cruise ship was sinking and they called 911, which I feel like is a bad strategy.
But that's got the guy
That's
from
not who you call
Coast Guard,
when the
maybe.
Titanic is sinking.
That felt like a Paw Patrol move where there was time for the crew to get there despite the emergency. But that's got the guy. That show has the guy from 6 Feet Under. I like the cast of that one. Never seen it.
Peter Krause.
I love how you're admonishing Bogusch for pointing out they have these number one shows nobody watches, but you don't watch them.
Right.
Yeah,
so you're shaking your finger at Bogusch,
I think
but
a lot
you
of people
don't watch them.
A lot of people do like those shows.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, yeah, but no one's walking around
why is our
here.
taste any better? Just because we watch,
no.
what's that stupid show on HBO that everyone was, White Lotus?
But that's my point. I'm not saying good or bad. I'm saying that Young Sheldon is the number one comedy, but no one's ever walking around in my world talking about Young Sheldon from the night before. But I walk into White Lotus conversations.
The water
or
cooler.
The Last of Us. All of these other shows have all these conversations. There's never an NCIS Sydney
in your
conversation.
world.
But that's my point. That's what I said.
Everybody's
all
world.
All these shows are number one, and I don't know
Right.
anyone that watches them.
You realize, right, but when you say that, it makes it sound like you're a little bit better than them.
That was not my intention. It was just that the people that watch them do not live in or near me.
Here's a question. How many water cooler conversations are happening today about Cameron Brink's dress from last night? Because I bet a couple.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's happening.
When she bent over to hug her mom, I think, you almost saw everything. I don't understand how you ladies do that with, tape and slits and low cut. It's just constant danger.
The fact that you even knew about the tape, congrats to you, Bogusch. That's evolved.
Thank God I just tie a tie and put a belt on and away we go.
You guys don't even know the half of it.
You get Perloff some tape next time he wants to be a
Tape my eyes closed.
Roddy Piper.
Well, Perloff wore for both the WrestleMania and also Halloween were 20 times as revealing as what Cameron Brink was wearing last night. Bogusch headlines, you got them.
And speaking of that WNBA draft, as you've been discussing, it should have started with a second pick since we all knew the Fever were taking CaitlinClark last night. Cameron Brink was that second pick to the Sparks. They came back at number 4 and got Tennessee's Rakia Jackson. The Chicago Sky also had 2 early picks, taking Camila Cardoso 3rd and then Angel Reese 7th. Hours before the NBA's play-in tournament begins, we're talking about U.S. men's basketball. GM Grant Hill has apparently locked in 11 of his 12 players for the summer games in Paris. That list includes LeBron, Curry, KD, Tatum, Anthony Edwards, the last spot being held open for training camp and an exhibition game this summer. Unconfirmed reports that Wemby is trying to switch nationalities to beat out Chet Holmgren for that honor, much like Rookie of the Year.
Wait, you're kidding, right?
Yes.
Because I would say if Joel Embiid can be on the American team, why not Wemby?
There was a moment last night where I almost had to not just mute my text thread between Perloff and EJ, I considered just throwing my phone out the window. You guys arguing about who should get the last spot on the Olympic team was robust.
Well, it wasn't the last spot. This person should have been on the team already.
I'm sorry. The snub to Jalen Brunson is something that EJ's taking extremely personally.
No, basketball fans are taking it. It's not EJ or Knicks fans. People who have
Knicks,
eyes.
yeah.
People who have eyes who watch basketball are upset about this.
Yeah, sure.
Anyone with eyes who watches basketball, they're waking up this morning. They're mad about Jalen Brunson.
Why do you want him to play in the Olympics?
It's not about that.
And risk injury.
It's not. It's the principle of the matter. Okay, why would the Lakers be okay with LeBron playing in the Olympics and stuff? They all have the same calculus. The idea that the best American basketball player is not playing for the national team is ridiculous.
Okay,
is he the best player?
He's been the best player in the NBA this season for Americans.
Is he going to win the MVP? Oh, for Americans.
The American MVP.
Yeah.
If we rank the guys, the only guy that has a chance to be ahead of him in ranking in terms of MVP is probably Jason Tatum. And I don't think he's going to finish ahead of him now. I think Brunson's passed him.
Maybe he gets that final spot.
I just think that's a ridiculous snub that he's the 12th man and he may be the highest ranking American on the MVP ladder. That doesn't make any sense to me.
But honest question, UJ, if you ask 10 GMs to pick Tatum or Brunson to start a team, all of them are picking Tatum, right?
I don't agree with that.
That's my...
No, I don't agree that all 10 are taking Jason Tatum.
Okay.
How many are taking Tatum then?
But you see this list, and besides Halliburton and Anthony Edwards, it's basically just a lifetime achievement award, right?
Yeah. Which is the problem. Like these guys, like somebody like Steph being on there, he's never won a gold medal. I'm okay with that. But
he never played in the Olympics,
right?
Which I didn't realize.
That's great, and I love Steph, so I'm glad he's getting the shot to play in the Olympics. But like a lot of these guys, like Kevin Durant has he's an all-time scoring list. LeBron has like 7 gold medals. Like enough.
So that's more just about the makeup of the team. You think so the old heads should get out?
Enough. Enough. Like let some other guys come in and let them get their time. Like. It wasn't like, Shaq was saying, hey, I'm nudging these guys out of here so I can play in the Olympics. Like, they weren't doing that.
Well, here's my question. Forget all the Jalen Brunson controversy. Is this team going to win a gold medal? Because they are anciently old and injury prone. Their 2 stars that aren't 40 are Joel Embiid and Anthony Davis. You think those guys are going to go through a whole... Anthony Davis? What are we doing here? Is he going to be healthy? Is Joel going to be healthy? No way.
Here's the thing. You're probably looking at maybe early playoff exits for a lot of these older guys. So, nobody's really picking the Suns to do a ton. They're not, I don't know, they go to the Western Conference Finals. The Lakers, if they play the Nuggets, are going to be up against it. Steph Curry and the Warriors could be going home tonight. So some of these older guys are going to get plenty of rest, and the game is shorter. It's not 60 minutes.
Well, here's the other thing, too. All these guys need the ball in their hand. Like, Jalen Brunson is a ball-dominant player, and I get LeBron is like, well, don't give me a Jalen Brunson. Give me somebody who complements me. So I just think I think that's a slightly vulnerable team.
Yeah, that'd be a big problem with all of them standing on a 3-point line. Where's my shot? Where's my shot?
Slightly.
Yeah, but they're not going to be able to share the ball. I don't know who's going to. You got Kevin Durant's got to get his shots. It's an interesting team. I wonder if they lose.
I think
we need that.
I think the world is so good. These other teams, Serbia is going to be really good. Canada is going to be really good. Like this, I agree with Perloff that this is not a gimme for Team USA, even though I think this team is awesome. Like this is an all-star team. This is a great team, even though they're missing a one key guy, in my opinion.
But when push comes to shove, they're really going to beat. Is Germany going to beat them? Spain is not really the factor that it used to be.
Canada and Serbia are major problems.
Canada's going to be a problem no matter who's out there.
How about if France with
France is going to also. They have a glass jaw when it comes to these international tournaments. I'm not trusting France to do anything. I think that's why Joel Embiid wanted nothing to do with those guys.
Sorry, I said 60 minutes. I meant 48. Bogusch, any more headlines?
As for that play in, the Lakers and Pelicans get things rolling in New Orleans at 7:30 Eastern. Willie Green hoping his team can win and move on.
It's about playing hard for 48 minutes for us. Playing hard, playing together, playing our style for 48 minutes. When we do that, we give ourselves an opportunity to win the game.
Anthony Davis plans to play tonight after leaving Sunday's finale in New Orleans with back spasms. Your nightcap is Kings, Warriors, the East on the floor tomorrow with Sixers, Heat, and Bulls, Hawks. Lastly, from the NBA, the Nets reportedly focusing on Kings assistant Jordi Fernandez as their next head coach. He was already well regarded in league circles. Then he led Canada to the bronze medal at last summer's FIBA World Cup. Mike Trout doesn't seem to miss Shohei Ohtani in the Angels lineup.
There's a long fly ball. It is high. It is far. It is gone. Mike Trout, a two-run homer. He blasts one to give the Angels a 2-1 lead.
That's Wayne Randazzo on Angels TV. You might have heard "It is high, it is far, it is gone." That was a nod to retiring Yankee radio voice John Sterling. Trout's 2-run homer started a 5-run eighth, which got the Halos a 7-3 win in Tampa Bay. He's got 7 long balls, 10 RBI in 16 games this season.
They're probably they're number one in the standings, right? But with all that Mike Trout production, I'm sure.
They're actually second in the vaunted AL West.
They're 500. They're 8-8. This is this is home runs hitting in the forest with no one hearing. Get out of here.
I don't like your dismissal of Mike Trout.
Bring Mike Trout home to Philadelphia, people. He's wasting away with the Angels. What is he doing?
There was an agenda behind this. I'm like, isn't he in South Jersey?
There's never been a greater player with less playoff hopes in the history of sports than Mike Trout. We can all agree on that, right?
Yeah, but we don't see him in Philly.
Well, Zion also hasn't played a playoff game, but Mike Trout's obviously done way, way more. Who do you think, I know Wayne Randazzo would not do this. That was definitely a tribute to John Sterling. But do you think that now that John Sterling has said he's retiring effective immediately, will other baseball announcers try to incorporate some of the things that he's done and pass it off, not as their own, but try to get a little of the Sterling magic? You can't do as high, as far, it's gone.
Probably, because it's like wrestling. When someone says, hey, can I borrow your finishing move or whatever? Yeah, some will, and they're going to get crushed for it.
Right, because everyone knows it's coming from Sterling.
Right.
Sterling was so unique.
I think you've got the rest of this week. If you wanted to make some crazy home run call for one of the guys on your team, you can do that. But you can't, steal John's bit.
I know, Mike Breen will tell you that he basically stole Bang.
Yes.
Definitely, yeah.
So,
but not from
someone in New York, I don't think.
Right.
But still, I mean, now people will think Mike Breen invented Bang. And, of course, the vaunted double Bang.
Well, they're going to have the next person that starts doing stuff John did will have an advantage that if they wait a while, it'll be a whole different generation of baseball fans. So,
but I mean, no one's stealing Vin Scully's act, I don't even think how many one-man booths are there?
Yeah.
Right?
Zero.
And also, Mike Breen didn't purposely go out there and say, hey, I am stealing Bang.
No, he didn't. He just borrowed.
Right. He killed the guy.
Right, he didn't do that.
It's CSI,
by the way,
Mike Breen.
How long has Sterling been the voice of the Yankees?
Since 1989.
Yep.
You don't think people would have stolen his stuff by now?
Well, you can't do it while he's active, right?
I don't know. I'm not sure. No, why could you? Nobody not everybody follows the Yankees on radio. No, I don't think you can steal those old time. No one's stealing Hark Harrelson's bit or Euchre's bit, right? You can't do that anymore.
I don't know.
Can
you think
imagine
someone's going to put it on the board?
No.
I mean, the whole bit, though, of Sterling, there's just no way. These old school guys, you don't do that anymore. Is there anybody like any of these guys? Like a young guy, Bogusch?
I'm trying to think of the majors who does. If
there's no
real crazy guys. It's not really in vogue right now. The NBA has got some good guys.
I was going to say that. NBA has guys that would definitely go out there.
Yeah, the Clippers radio dude has huge
The Hornets
calls.
TV guys, crazy.
Right, and the guy,
crazy in a good way, by the way.
And the Nuggets guy is good, Jason Kuzmiski, and he gets a little carried away. The guy in Minnesota has a couple of taglines, so to speak, for things.
Actually, bringing it full circle, the guy who does Angels radio has a Mike Trout call. Doesn't he call it?
Yeah, I actually have it in the system. I was going to play it until I heard Wayne do the Sterling.
The Sterling tribute?
Yeah. It's Trout here.
It's
is what he's
Trout here.
Yeah.
It's a dad joke and a home run call all at the same time. Perloff approved.
I'll be a professional. Pete's Islanders clinched their playoff spot by winning their finale last night, 4-1 at the Devils. They are they're in third place in the Metro Division, which means they'll face second place Carolina in the first round of the postseason.
Let's go.
Bogusch.
Let's go, Canes.
Thank you so much. Coming up, the biggest threat to the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC. Got that for you. And we see you guys on the phones. We'll get to you in a moment. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. minute remaining.
Be babies. Why can't baby just be babies? Why can't baby just be baby?
It's not easy to kill a sport. That's the other problem.
She'll figure
Trust
it
me,
out.
I fantasize a lot about this. How are you going to kill it? You have to draft.
It's cool. can't escape. Come on, let's go there. Let's just end this day. Can you take me higher? To a place where I'm not seen. Can you take me higher?
Break ends to 5 seconds.
To a place where golden
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Okay. Perloff, one of the big questions of the offseason for the NFL was about T. Higgins and the fact that the Bengals put him on the franchise tag.
Mm-hmm.
And he was speaking yesterday while he expects to be back in Cincinnati, whether he has a new contract or not.
We'll see. I do anticipate it. Cincy is growing up. I love for Cincy that I didn't think I would, but man, looking forward to it.
Okay, so he's not going to hold out. It doesn't look like. It doesn't look like he's going to be traded at all. And this is really good news for Cincinnati. The question is, are they the biggest threat to the Chiefs and the Chiefs' dominance? What do you say?
So they're definitely in the mix. But to me, I'm still going back to this Baltimore Ravens team. Although Lamar Jackson showed up the other day, it lost 30 pounds or something. It was bizarre. But why are we talking about the Ravens were at the doorstep? Why are we going 2 years back to where the Bengals were the team? I feel like the Ravens are still the threat in the AFC.
Okay, so here's why I think the Bengals are the biggest threat to the Chiefs in the AFC, because it was just because Joe Burrow got injured last year. He has a 5-2 playoff record to Lamar Jackson's 2-4.
Right.
And it's not like Lamar's been playing with some crap defense. For the most part, he's had the number 1 or a top 5 defense this entire time, but it's been about health. When Joe Burrow is healthy, they're 22-10, went to 1 Super Bowl, went to another AFC championship game. Not only that, they kept their defensive coordinator in Lou Anarumo, who's got the secret sauce on how to actually defend Patrick Mahomes. So the fact that they have the continuity there, I know that the Chiefs also obviously kept their defensive coordinator and Steve Spagnuolo, but I think we just forgot about Cincy. We put them on the back burner just because Burrow got injured last year.
My counter argument, the Ravens, that was a bit of a fluky loss to the Chiefs in the sense that Zay Flowers fumbled at the goal line when they were coming
killed.
Back. I mean, honestly, there was 2
Lamar
plays.
played terribly.
They were definitely, listen, if Zay Flowers doesn't do that, that's a game. It was 7. They held Patrick Mahomes to 17 points. I know the Chiefs held off. Like the Ravens definitely walked away from that game saying, I can't believe we didn't win that.
Oh, I think they got
Lamar
outclassed in the game. I mean, the Chiefs didn't score in the second half, and they still were able to win.
Yeah, I mean, and also too, like Lamar, when you say played terribly, he threw 1 really bad pick.
Oh, he was so out of his game.
Really? He threw for like 300 yards, and honestly, like they owned the second half. They dominated in yardage in the second half.
I know,
they
but
just blew
it was
the
empty.
Game.
I thought Lamar was running around. He was holding onto the ball, running around. I thought he took some bad sacks. I mean, he was not the Lamar MVP that we had been watching through the season.
Yeah, but there was just a couple plays where the Ravens lost it at the end because they were definitely the better team in the second half. They were sort of dominating them. I know Kansas City sort of pulled back and was just holding on to their lead. But the Ravens, I think, walked out of that Baltimore game and say, what just happened? How did we lose that game?
Well, and they had home field advantage in the number 1 seed, and you allowed Kansas City to go in there and beat you. We're asking about the biggest threat to the Chiefs. I think it's the Bengals. Perloff says it's the Ravens. There's nothing about the Burrow 5-2 playoff record and Lamar's 2-4 playoff record that would indicate sort of who is better in these big moments to you. I think Burrow's maybe one of the best quarterbacks we have in the league in big moments.
Yeah, but there's something about it, and listen, the Bengals just for some reason have trouble putting it all together. I feel like they're
Burrow's
kind of
health.
Burrow's health, and then there's just some issues that they seem like much like the Ravens, they get injured. That's the other thing too. Somehow the Chiefs just do not seem injury prone in the way the Ravens and the Bengals and a lot of these the Chargers. I just think that the Bengals they have a thin line here. Like, it's not like they're so dominant that they can just assume they're going to be there where the Chiefs are there. I think the Ravens are going to be on a revenge tour this year, and they're going to come out like a house on fire. Because also, too, they have all these young defenders who just fire right now.
No, I know, but the thing about the Ravens is we've seen House on fire. They were killing teams last year in the regular season. They took care of San Francisco, and they took care of every good team they played. They beat them handily, and then it got to the playoffs, and they faced the Kansas City Chiefs, and they turned into a puddle. And I think for Cincinnati, let's not forget, they're in the AFC Championship game 2 years ago in Arrowhead, and if it's not for a roughing the passer, out-of-bounds push on Mahomes that gave them an extra 15 yards, maybe that game is different.
Yeah.
And maybe Cincinnati is going to 2 Super Bowls in a row.
Here's the thing. Cincinnati's got to get there. They got to get there. It's not a given that it's going to be an AFC Championship game with Kansas. I will give you Joe Burrow is scarier to the Chiefs maybe, but I think the Ravens are really going to be hell-bent on getting the number 1 seed again and being there at the end. And also, I think the Chiefs are way more vulnerable. I'm not sure the Chiefs get there. I mean, no team's ever three-peated, so there's a long way to go. I think it's going to be a much different playoffs. You're kind of assuming that it plays out like it did 2 years ago. I just think there's a lot more going on in this AFC picture.
Well, sure. I mean, it's stacked with quarterbacks. I'll give you that. But if you're asking me who has consistently played the Chiefs tough, the only person really is the Bengals. I think that's the team that really instills fear. The Bills have tried, but ultimately cannot beat them in the postseason. And the Bengals at least have shown they can win an Arrowhead. 855-212-4227. Who's the biggest threat to the Chiefs? Coming up, we got Perloff's NFL Draft Rumor of the Day. Stick around for that. Don't move. It's Maggie and Perloff, Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Lots of pressure on some big stars in the NBA tonight. Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. So you have the Warriors playing for their lives tonight, Perloff. It's the 9-10 game. It's the late game against the Sacramento Kings. You have the Lakers against the Pelicans. That's the early game. A little bit more wiggle room, though, for the Lakers. Even if they lose this game, they get a second chance against the winner of that Warriors-Kings matchup that I just mentioned. But we're asking, who has more pressure going into this night? Is it LeBron James or is it Steph Curry? And I think it's hands down, it's got to be Steph Curry. This is a team that is deep in the luxury tax. This is a team that's gone through a lot this season, yet finds themselves here with a chance. And I think Steph has to feel like there's a bit of a, if we lose, big changes are coming. There's a major decision on what to do with Klay Thompson in the future. And the core, as we know it, for the Golden State Warriors, something that has been one of the defining eras of this, dynasties rather, of this era, could be coming to an end tonight if they lose.
I hear you, but LeBron James, like his career could be coming to an end if they lose, for all intents and purposes, in the sense like this is his chance to make some more noise as an NBA player. Steph's going to get another chance.
Why wouldn't LeBron get another chance?
Because he's 40. He's not going to be able to do this.
I know, but he's the best player on the team when Anthony Davis is not on some nights. He's still the best player on the Lakers. So why would I think LeBron is going to take
Age. We know. Listen, Maggie, it's incredible what he's doing right now, but he is peaking at this point of the season. He's been on fire lately. He just can't keep doing this. At some point, LeBron James has to age. It's going to happen. And he knows this. And he knows that they have to win tonight, despite the fact that it'll mean the Nuggets in the next round. He's got to take his shot next year because Steph's going to get other chances. LeBron knows there are not a lot of chances left.
Yeah, but see, LeBron's been very good about picking his spots, right? Like, they really want to turn it up for the in-season tournament. I know that caught a lot of backlash from certain people, like Pete Pilati rolling his eyes and groaning about the in-season tournament, but they dialed it up when they needed to. And LeBron's very strategic about how he plays now when he's approaching 40. So it's not like he's going to lose all that institutional knowledge. He's staying around to play with Bronny. He's got plenty of time. This, for the Warriors, has this sort of end of an era feeling. LeBron, what's the end? He could just go on to play for a different team. He could go to the Mavericks. He could go to your Philadelphia 76ers. You never know where LeBron could end up next. There's no end of an era. Like, this is something for the Warriors that we have to stand up and really almost appreciate because it could be the end.
No, Steph is going to be back next year, and he's going to have probably a better team than he has this year. So that's fine. LeBron, if he loses in this playoffs, he's going to say afterwards, like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. You know that's coming.
Well, but we know it'd be fake too because he wants to play with Bronny, and Bronny's not ready to go to the NBA yet.
You're just not going to get the last month of LeBron. LeBron's probably been the best player in the league. I think there's a great. I mean, he's averaging in the last about 10 games about 30 points, 11 assists, and 8 rebounds a game. He's been ridiculous. This cannot last. He knows it is now or they're in big trouble. There's no more. This is a great team. The fact that Anthony Davis is having one of his best years and that he's been relatively healthy, the fact that they've incorporated all the role guys, I think this is his shot. And he knows it, at least with this version of the Lakers. Now, you're saying you could glom on. There's not an easy glom on. The Sixers are not doing anything with LeBron James. What's your other team you said?
The Mavericks.
I mean, the Mavs are going to have, that is not an ideally built to have LeBron James stand there and watch Luka dribble and then Kyrie dribble. That's not going anywhere. This is it. This is a really good chance. They have a great team. They only have a Nuggets problem.
Yeah, well, and that's a big problem because that's who they could face in the first round if they win tonight against the Pelicans. And it's going to be a dead end. I mean, it's one thing to beat the Nuggets here or there. It's another to slug it out with them in a 7-game series. I just don't see it. But I just don't understand where you're coming up with this is the end for LeBron. Like, there's no evidence of that. His age, sure, but, we kept saying that about Brady and he kept coming back. We say it about Rodgers, he keeps coming back. I mean, there's really no evidence that this is the end for LeBron.
There's biology. He's about to turn 40. I mean,
but I think that's an us problem that we're only looking at the number and we're not his age and not looking at what he's actually providing on the court, which is he's still one of the best players in the league.
He is, but you do see the signs of age. I was at a Lakers game, Lakers-Knicks, and when he's not like driving to the basket, he's standing on the side, conserving energy, or he's walking like an old man. It's coming. I think you're blinded by your love for LeBron.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying, where's the evidence that he's going to all of a sudden hang it up?
The evidence is it's called his birth certificate. That's the evidence.
Okay, but you're also admitting that he's one of the best players on the team.
All right, okay. In 3 years, who would you rather have, LeBron James or Steph Curry?
I'm not talking about 3 years. I'm just saying there's no evidence that he is going to be stopping, right? Like, it might be defying all laws of age, physics, whatever you want to say, but the idea is he's figured out how to make it work in his late 30s.
I mean, at some point, he's going to die like the rest of us. It's got to stop at some point, Maggie.
He's going to die? Oh,
yes,
my God.
I'm just saying, it's got to stop. I think this is funny that you're saying, like, he could just keep doing it. There's no pressure on him to win this year, but he can just keep going forever.
Listen, there's more pressure on LeBron in, like, a macro sense because we put everything he does under a much bigger microscope than Steph Curry. LeBron gets way more backlash than Steph Curry. LeBron gets way more questions than Steph Curry. LeBron gets way more hate than Steph Curry. All of that stuff. But if you're asking me who's feeling the pressure tonight, this is a literally win and go home. If the Warriors lose to the Kings, what a flame out, considering all the things
that's not a flame out at all.
All the things they've gotten through this year, which is Draymond having to leave the team, right, for 12 games to try to figure out some personal stuff, to Steph Curry's own injuries and slumps that he's been able to get through, to Klay Thompson's inconsistent play, to Andrew Wiggins being a major mystery, to working in younger guys. Obviously, Kuminga's been around for a bit now, but trying to figure out what the next iteration is going to be of the Warriors. Meanwhile, why are we saying that Steph Curry should be having the same kind of pressure to win titles that LeBron is having? He's trying to add to the legacy. He's the petty king. He's the one who wants to be in these conversations also. So, of course, he should be feeling pressure. Who knows what the future holds for Golden State?
But there's zero expectations for this Golden State team right now. I mean, they're a deep dark horse. The Vegas odds give them no chance, basically.
Yeah, but 2 years ago, they didn't have much of an odd. 2 years ago, they didn't have much odds, and then they went and won the title.
They're second to last in the West. You really think 2 years ago they were that low on the odds?
Well, they were. I mean, I don't know if it was that low, but they were a low seed.
I guarantee you, coming into the playoffs, their odds are so much worse now. Like you said, it'd be a huge letdown. I think that they could go away and everyone would just shrug and be like, "This obviously was not their year." Well, I actually think they're quite a dangerous bet. Honestly, there's not going to be like, "Wow, they blew their opportunity," because nobody's been talking about Golden State at all this year.
Okay, well then I think then we're going to have to start changing the conversation around Steph Curry. If we are not going to have any expectations on them this year and that there's no pressure on Steph Curry now, then are you really one of the top players? Like, do you really deserve to be in the conversation with LeBron James? because if you have no pressure, then you can't be in the same conversation with LeBron, because Steph has a team, a similar kind of trajectory, I guess, not the same kind of season, but they're both, play-in teams. They both have young guys that they're incorporating in. He's playing alongside stars, future Hall of Famers, future Hall of Fame coach for Steph Curry, a major advantage there to Darvin Ham. So I don't understand what the big difference is.
Well, last year there was a slight difference in the fact that LeBron's team around him was much better than Steph's team. When Steph came off the court during last year's playoffs, it was like a G League team.
Yeah, but last year was also a championship hangover year. They couldn't win a game on the road. It was a little bit different.
It's not that different, though. I mean, listen, if I'd like to see the plus minus in this playoff when Steph's not, if he gets into the playoffs.
Yeah.
When he's out on the court, obviously, I think there's this idea that Steph has been carrying this version of the Warriors.
And to be fair to Steph, he does not play with anybody the caliber of Anthony Davis.
Yeah,
no one in the stratosphere. So LeBron has a lot more help in terms of carrying that team. LeBron can take games off, halves off, quarters off. There is no taking halves and quarters off Steph Curry. His number 2 guy, arguably Draymond Green, he was out for 15 games because he's punching people and doing crazy stuff. He doesn't have the luxury of another superstar in his prime next to him.
Okay, maybe not, but Anthony Davis is not the picture of health and is battling injury right now.
But he's played 76 games this year. He's been there for most of the season this year.
He has had a very good season, but at the same time, I can't hear that the Golden State Warriors are a bunch of scrubs because they're.
Did you watch them last year in the playoffs? They were terrible when Steph got off the court.
You're $177 million into the luxury tax. Right? You are a team that is this was the light years ahead. Let's not forget. The Golden State Warriors were light years ahead because they were going to be able to incorporate young guys along with the aging core. This is the by design. So I can't cry for Steph when this is obviously something that he signed off on. This is the by design.
Well,
and they got Chris Paul.
Who are the guys around him that are impressing you so much?
Well, I mean, I think that Draymond coming back has been very, very good. And I know I've been a
Draymond's
Draymond critic.
Player. Draymond's a role player.
He's been critical in this.
Yeah, he's been great, but still, he's Draymond. I mean, he's scoring 8 points a game. This is way different. Like, Steph's got to do a lot more for this Warriors team than LeBron has to do for this Lakers team, and that's what I think. I think there is that image out there. It goes back to last year. It's a little less so that Steph has just been saddled with a team that kind of lost its way a little bit because they screwed up the Wiseman pick. I don't know if there was anyone behind him. They got him, Jonathan Wiseman, number 2.
But that was a while ago, Perloff. We really can't still be blaming that.
How long ago was that?
It was the 2020 draft, I believe, right? Wasn't it the COVID year? I mean, that's an eternity in basketball time.
Well, regardless, so, I mean, it's not. I think this Warriors team actually is legitimately not great. So I think Steph has to do too much. So I don't think you kill Steph. Also, the other thing about getting back to that conversation, yes, we hold LeBron to a higher standard because he's the second best player in the history of the NBA. Steph is not in that conversation.
You don't think there's anyone out there having a Steph versus LeBron conversation?
You might, but honestly, I think realistic NBA historians are not looking at Steph Curry as the number 2 all-time player. I think there's a lot of players that you would put ahead of him, and LeBron is universally considered at least 2. Some have him at number 1, but nobody really has LeBron at 6, do they? I mean,
I know. I think LeBron is higher, but again, we're talking about Steph Curry, who when we do the all-time debate, might not be top 5, but we're doing the today debate. And the today debate is that he's one of the top players in the league today. No? And this is someone who's extended his prime and someone, so I don't understand why they wouldn't be held to the same standard. Okay, Anthony Davis, but it's not like Steph is playing with a bunch of nobodies. And again, this is how they wanted to set this team up. They could have gone superstar hunting if they wanted to. The Golden State Warriors could have totally switched gears and they could have went superstar chasing. Obviously, with Kevin Durant, they know how to get stars there. They're choosing to do it this way. And so I can't, what am I going to say? Poor Steph.
Steph's not the GM, though.
Is he, though?
No, he's not. He didn't tell them to trade for Chris Paul.
Here's the thing, EJ. When you are the second best player right now, or you're the player of a generation, you could have a say and you could have input. And whether Steph says, he says that his voice is heard a lot more behind the scenes. He doesn't put it out there like LeBron might or something like that. But to say that a superstar doesn't have any say over the roster, I don't believe it.
Well, regardless, by the way, neither of these guys are the singular star of the sport right now. That's clearly in Denver. So neither of them have that kind of pressure because Denver has the real. Everyone expects Denver to play Boston in the finals, and we're talking about Tatum and Jokic.
Right.
These guys are definitely a tier below that. So I don't even think that nobody's putting that kind of pressure. Like Steph's got to take this team to the finals, or it's a disappointment. I don't think anybody, and even you're not going to say that. You're not going to say if this Steph let them down, if the Warriors don't get from the 10 seed to the NBA finals.
I just think that I think the Warriors do have pressure, but I also think the idea that LeBron James takes all the pressure and Steph Curry has none of it is ridiculous.
I see what you're saying.
That's crazy. If we're going to put them on the same tier in terms of where they, generational talents, all the accolades that we give to LeBron and Steph, okay, maybe LeBron's the second best player of all time and Steph's the seventh best player. We're talking about very rarefied air. No seasons are takeoff seasons. No seasons are in theory, every season should be about championships.
Well, that's not happening this year for the Warriors. I don't think. I mean,
so why do you think the Lakers then?
Well, I think the Lakers, because it's not that it's championship or bust. It's just like they're not going to be able to keep this going. Like this is like they kind of have all their eggs in the basket.
Why?
For this
because
year.
LeBron can leave next year?
LeBron's getting old. And you're not going to get a healthy Davis again. And the guys around him, like Rui's playing pretty well now. Austin Reeves has his moments. I just think
those guys are young.
I just think that they have this team right now that is ready to go because LeBron's definitely not getting better. I mean, that's just impossible. I'm going with biology, Maggie. That's my key thing. Like, don't you feel like, oh, man, if the Lakers can't do it this year, they're definitely not doing it next year. That's what I think.
Okay, then answer me this. We're talking about who has more pressure, LeBron James or Steph Curry going into the play-in games tonight in this postseason. Here's a question for you. If this is such an all-in, amazing Laker year, where Anthony Davis played how many games?
76.
76 games out of 82. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And they're so good, and this is a championship or bust roster, then what are they doing in the play-in?
No, I'm saying this is their best chance. I'm not saying it's a championship or bust. I'm just saying, like, if they can't do it this year, they're definitely not doing it next year. So LeBron's going to be like, well, what's the point of this?
Okay, but you like this roster.
I like this roster.
Okay,
I think they've been one of the best.
Why aren't they better?
Well, they've been the second best team since January. A lot of people say because Darvin Ham has not played the right lineups.
Yeah, messed up the rotations.
But they've been,
like
they've been top 3 in the league since the All-Star break. So I think that you've seen a much better team. If they just didn't have Denver sitting in their way, they could beat anybody in the West. I think that's the deal with this team. But if they don't do it this year, then it's over. Then they'll be like, well, if we can't do it this year, we're definitely not doing it next year. So it's now or never. That's where Curry, if he loses this year, I think he just runs it back next year.
And we've seen Steph Curry take a team from the ashes and get them back to the championship. We saw the Warriors become a team with the number 2 pick in the draft.
Right? Why not this year?
What do you mean? Why not?
We've seen it. So why wouldn't there be pressure this year?
I'm saying if they don't make it this year, there's no reason why Steph can't do it again. We've seen him do it in the past.
Okay, but
with LeBron, he's 40 years old.
I know, but LeBron took a team last year that I don't think anyone was penciling in Western Conference Finals.
No, but they weren't the worst team in the NBA, and they still had a superstar in his prime. I think it's a little bit of a different calculus for the Lakers.
I think the Lakers were. I agree with May. They were quite surprising last year.
They made all those moves at the deadline.
But I just think that Steph's going to be. I agree with you, EJ. Steph's going to be back for sure. Like he can gear up again. LeBron's not. If the Lakers don't do it this year, they're tearing it up. Right? They're not running this team back.
I love that you guys. Not you guys, but Perloff definitely is like writing the LeBron obituary while also saying that he's one of the best players still in the league and on his team. Like, how can both these things be true? He puts $1 million into his body. Okay, drinking a little red wine hasn't hurt him yet. I mean,
well, what's the point if they can't win it, get to the finals this year? Like, what's the point of trying again next year?
So what should he do? Hang it up and retire?
I honestly don't know. The Lakers might as well tear it up and let LeBron leave because this is their best shot.
Why wouldn't they run it back?
Because they'll just be a year older with LeBron. It's just.
But they have young guys around them.
But this Western Conference is not getting any, weaker or softer. I mean listen, the Thunder, if you're going to catch them, you better catch them now. The T-Wolves, you're going to catch them, you better catch them now. The Nuggets are in their absolute prime. Like, if you don't catch these young teams now, you're never going to catch them with that Lakers roster.
Maybe you figure out something to get a better option than D'Angelo Russell, but I don't know. Like, it's going to really feel like, what's the point? If they can't do it this year with LeBron at 39, they're going to do it with LeBron at 40? That seems unlikely to me.
LeBron loves switching the roster around, and I wouldn't be surprised if Anthony Davis, who's been great and has had a great season, maybe this is the time to trade high on him. Maybe you actually do get something back because, his value is going to be higher now than it would have been 2 years ago.
But if you trade Anthony Davis, I don't see an addition by subtraction move. Like you're gonna take
you have to bring someone
you're gonna
big
take
in.
a step back probably. I like Anthony Davis, when he plays these amount of games, is a top 10 player in the NBA. So if you're making a trade with any team, you're not getting as good a player back.
What I'm
maybe
saying
you get a
is,
guy a little more reliable, but not as good.
Well, maybe not, but I'm saying if you know or you think how you can predict how the NBA offseason is going to go or what's going to happen or who's going to try to decide to team up with who, that's a fool's errand. Because we see guys break contracts, sign big contracts, get moved anyway. With this league particularly, there is a million ways that this could happen where maybe, you're not getting Anthony Davis. Maybe you're getting something else. Maybe you're getting something different. Maybe LeBron decides to go somewhere else. I mean, there's so many things that could change. To write LeBron's obituary on his career would be crazy.
Yeah, I would definitely, if they don't win this year, I'm writing the obituary on this version of the Lakers. And I really believe that. Like, if they can't do it this year with LeBron at 39, to think that they're doing it at 40.
Well, LeBron though could mastermind some moves here. I mean, he's got.
I don't see LA
half
be
of the
able
league
to do
is
this.
Clutch Sports. He basically owns a sports agency.
That's going to be tough. I like your optimism here. It's exciting to think that we might have this offseason.
Hey, leave it to me, guys.
But
you're not Laker fans.
Feel that sounds like a little bit of fantasy. Where Golden State is interesting. Golden State has some same problems that EJ just mentioned. There's a lot of teams coming up. I don't know what their moves are either. That's why I like both these teams. I hope they both advance and show those young whippersnappers in Minnesota and OKC how us old people play basketball.
855-212-4227. Yes, LeBron James, Steph Curry, not the only people giving off dad vibes. We'll get to that a little bit. Perloff's new
LeBron
patron saint.
Yeah. LeBron's a bigger sports dad than me. I mean, he is ridiculous. He just sits there on his couch when he's not. He's either watching his kids play or he's watching NFL football. He's awesome in that sense.
Dad vibes all over the place. We'll get to that. Do not move. 855-212-4227. And who's under more pressure? Is it LeBron James or is it Steph Curry as the play-in games start tonight? Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
The Defensive Player of the Week is sponsored by the Navy Federal Credit Union, who proudly serves the armed forces, DoD, veterans, and their families. Their members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. Defensive Player of the Week. Jeez Louise. What do you got here? Got to be NBA. Everyone's scoring a lot. They're not calling fouls. Baseball. I saw Ellie De La Cruz had a nice catch last night. I have no idea. What do you got,
I have
Maggie?
no idea. Like, who's playing defense these days? Something. I think EJ picked something baseball. How about that?
To mix it up? Yeah, he hasn't done baseball yet this season. It's time. What do you got?
All right, so the Defensive Player of the Week this week is the King, LeBron James, who in the season finale against the New Orleans Pelicans had 5 steals. Everybody talked about the 28 points, the 17 assists, which were phenomenal. He absolutely dominated the game, but he was also all over the place defensively. He had one of those vintage LeBron performances where he turned back the clock, and I think that his defense didn't get enough credit for how dominant he was, and I thought that the defense really took the Pelicans out of that game early. So I'm going with LeBron James as my Defensive Player of the Week. 5 steals in the Lakers' 16-point win over the Pelicans on Sunday.
So the line, by the way, tonight, it's in New Orleans, is the Pelicans -1. How? What is going on here?
It's an in-season tournament revenge game.
I don't understand. Like, there's no way LeBron is losing this game unless they think he's throwing it to avoid the Nuggets. Like, this feels like such a mismatch to me. And I'm sorry, Pete. I'm a Pelicans fan because I love Zion, but it doesn't feel like they have any chance tonight. What is going on here?
I think maybe the Anthony Davis injury news. Even if he's going to play,
thank you.
He's got the back spasms, got the hip tightness. He's
he's Anthony Davis.
He's the bionic man.
Enough said.
Yeah, thank you. And I think there's another part of this where I think there's some Zion belief, and Brandon Ingram would have another game to get the rust off, but I think there is a little Zion. Talk about pressure. There might be some.
Well, Zion can't do it on his own, though. He needs a lot of help. Not like LeBron. Like Zion, I know he plays some point guard, but he is definitely not in a position to be the only guy on this team. So everyone's got to step up. I just think the young guys are going to get nervous. They're going to look at LeBron on the other side and say, like, you win.
No.
You win, old man.
Think so.
I think knocking him off in this game is going to be tough. I'm betting the Lakers tonight.
Speaking of old men, what was the tweet you liked yesterday that you sent us from one
Kirk
of your
Cousins,
favorite athletes?
Kirk Cousins. Well, I think he's everybody's favorite athlete. Kirk Cousins. He is in Atlanta, and he tweeted last night. Hold on, let me get the exact words here because he kind of nailed the Kirk Cousins vibe. By the way, are they doing? He's not on that quarterback show anymore. They switched to receivers because remember he was on Netflix One. He's kind of a boring guy.
Yeah, you would go to Barnes & Noble on Tuesdays.
Yesterday he tweeted, well, that certainly didn't take long. 3rd week with the Falcons, and a teammate says to me in the lunch line, I feel like you give off a serious dad vibe, Kirk.
Right.
Yeah, no duh. He's Kirk Cousins. He's the ultimate minivan dad.
Yeah, I guess. So I read that and you're like, isn't this so great? Kirk Cousins is giving off dad vibes.
It's so funny.
To the other guys on the team. But I ask you this, are dad vibes what wins you the Super Bowl? I know dads have won the Super Bowl. I get that. Dads do everything. Thank you, dads. But dad vibes are not killer instinct, win at all costs, drooling out of your mouth. I got to win this hyper competitive. When I think dad vibes, I think of like sitcom dads who are like caring and supportive and kind of sometimes perceived as being bumbling and kind of quick-witted, wisecracking, but more, quirky and sometimes a little aloof.
So you don't want Alan Thicke in the middle of your huddle, is what you're saying?
I want regional Vel Johnson, right?
But the thing about dads, when they get their kids out on the court in the backyard, they'll block their shot. There's some dads who get hyper competitive in basketball. So
I think
maybe Kirk
Danny
will bring
Tanner is like dad vibes from Full House. He's not 2-minute drill Danny Tanner.
Right, you want your quarterback to be Uncle Jesse.
Exactly.
I understand what you're saying, but this is Kirk Cousins. You think Kirk Cousins is giving off any vibe that says killer at any point?
You're paying the guy $100 million. I think I want winner vibes, not dad vibes.
I mean, listen, I understand what you're saying, but Kirk Cousins isn't fooling anybody. He's not he's going to come in there and be like, give some Tim Tebow-like speech to inspire everybody. What do you expect from Kirk?
No, but Let's talk.
Kirk, the guy that they put the chain on in the airplane because they made fun of him because he's the lamest guy ever.
Kirk, who's made $400 million or thereabouts in his career, when Tom Brady went to the Bucs, what did they say? Change the whole culture, change the building, change the outlook, change the belief that they could win.
Right.
What are you giving Kirk all this money for?
To throw it to the receivers so they can catch it and finally get some yards in the passing offense.
But to win, no?
You are, but you're definitely...
If Kirk Cousins 1-3 playoff record. See, this is why
But you're not paying Kirk Cousins to change the culture. I mean, let's be honest. Yeah, I understand.
You're paying him enough.
If that's your goal, then you're not getting that. I think you're paying Kirk Cousins $100 million to accurately deliver the ball downfield. Man. That's what you're getting out of Kirk Cousins. That's a big thing, by the way. You say that like as a light thing. When's the last Atlanta quarterback, what year was the last time Matt Ryan was actually consistently throwing the ball downfield? It's been a while.
I understand. I just thought you were going to get the expectation was going to be a little bit more, and I think it's actually $70 million guaranteed. So we'll be right about it. But Kirk's made they made hundreds of millions of dollars, literally. He has a bad playoff record, which may not be all his fault, but it's definitely on his ledger. And he's giving off dad vibes in the cafeteria. What are you paying for?
Are you kidding me? Do you think they were like, wow, let's bring in Kirk Cousins. He's going to whip these young guys into shape. He's Kirk Cousins. We all know this guy better than him.
Why do you expect nothing from him?
Well, I expect
when he gets paid like one of the top quarterbacks in the league. See, that's the thing.
He's about to drop 4,800 yards on the NFC South, and it's going to be very, very good.
We apply this stuff so unevenly sometimes, where Dak Prescott's got all the pressure in the world, and meanwhile, they have the same postseason record and are very similar, and yet Kirk Cousins is totally immune from any kind of expectations. Why? Because he has cargo pants?
No,
I think that makes no sense.
I think his expectations are very clearly he's got to stay healthy. He's got to throw for about 4,500 yards and avoid picks. And man,
and not play in prime time. And everyone's like, well, you know what? He gave it the old college try. I mean, he's taken up to parts of your salary cap here.
Aren't you excited to see what it's going to be like to have Drake London and Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson with Kirk Cousins throwing the ball? I think it's really interesting. Like, I honestly I feel like you're saying like this is a negative on Kirk Cousins. Like, man, I wish Kirk Cousins were more of a killer. You know what you're getting with Kirk Cousins, and nobody ever mistook him for this rah-rah, I'm coming in here and just setting a culture tone. He's like the ultimate like lame guy, right?
I mean, what do we ask for our quarterbacks? It to be leaders, and when you pay them a lot, I mean, this was one of the big moves in the offseason, and that's what I ask.
Dude throws for a lot of yards. That's exactly what you're paying for. You're paying for, remember, he threw for 5,000 yards with Washington. That should be put on the Mount Rushmore of all-time seasons. The guy is very, very accurate, reads defenses really well. That hopefully you're getting exactly what you paid for there. And that's why everyone's picking the Falcons to win the division, no? I mean, does the dad vibe keep you away?
No, it's the Achilles that keeps me away. And
really? You're not picking Atlanta. Who do you like?
I'm not. I am probably picking... I'll probably pick the Bucs. I don't know. I haven't decided yet on the NFC South. Bogusch is here with headlines. Hello.
If Bryson DeChambeau wore cargo pants while quarterbacking the Falcons, what would you think of Atlanta's chances this year?
Wait, what? What do you mean?
I thought you liked DeChambeau's not dad vibes. Did you make a reference to?
No, I think she said that he lost some weight and looked good.
I said that off the air, guys.
You came on the air yesterday.
I think I said something about a haircut.
It's a fact.
And something about I didn't realize that he looked handsome.
I'm not sure, by the way, and I've been correct on this. Like, dads don't wear cargo pants anymore. Cargo pants are a young person thing. I was told the other day.
Well, I saw
I wore
you
cargo
had
pants
them.
in high school. Yeah.
What's that?
People wore cargo pants in high school.
Yeah, dads don't wear cargo pants. Apparently, they're not as functional as. I bought a pair of cargo pants that had no pockets. They were faux pockets just for style. But I was told, cargo pants are a young person thing. Because, young people now wear these loose pants. I missed the memo on that one. So cargo pants are like, dads can't wear them. You have to wear something different. Bogusch, we're not allowed to wear cargo pants.
I mean, I wasn't going to, but thank you for that.
Yeah.
Man, so what else is there for you guys to wear? Your quarter zips are probably gone because the Mannings killed that trend.
That
trend, air quotes. Now you can't wear cargo pants.
Kilts are out.
I think we have to just wear straight khakis. I think it's like Kirk Cousins and Daniel Jones.
Jim Harbaugh?
Yeah, I think we are men of a certain age are supposed to wear khakis. I don't know. Jeans are not a thing anymore. Like
a sensible shoe.
Like men are not supposed to wear jeans. I heard.
You gotta wear sweatpants.
I can't.
No, you gotta be comfortable.
Like trainers?
Like joggers.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yes, that's the thing. Lululemon and all that stuff.
Wear some nice joggers. And
to the office?
Yeah.
I wear them to the office. I wear like chino joggers. There's these cool pants where they're like chino pants, almost like khakis, but they're actually joggers.
Thank you. It's called athletic wear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing now.
That's what you guys got to get on.
But don't borrow your wife's Lululemon pants
let's not do
and
that.
come to work. That's not
flare
acceptable.
at the ankle.
But as long as we're being honest here, Lululemon pants cost like $150 a pop.
Yeah, they're expensive.
They have men's versions. You don't need to borrow your wife's to wear to work.
Well,
That's
I do have some Lululemon pants, but I'd love to wear them every day, but they're too expensive. How
You're
much
saving
you guys?
them for what, formal occasions?
I
for
like
the
to
WNBA
wear.
draft?
I like to wear like $29 pair of jeans. Like I can't have 5 pairs.
You guys
of
skip out in that
$150
Black Friday
pants.
football game
Wait.
and get to a Lululemon.
Hold on. I thought you said no jeans anymore. Since when can men not wear jeans?
I mean,
My
I
husband wears
didn't
them all the
get that
time.
either. I'm still wearing jeans. I don't know what
Jeans
that's
are
about.
forever and always.
Yeah, jeans are out of fashion.
What?
We're all wearing them.
Yeah, no, but listen, I mean, we're not exactly cutting edge. This is not Milan. This is Infinity Sports Radio Network.
Listen, Infinity Sports Radio. This is as good as it gets.
I think I've been reading up. There's some men's pants trends, and you're not supposed to wear jeans. You're not really supposed to wear cargo pants. It's tough. We have it tough out there, Maggie.
Wow, I'm surprised you guys made it all into work today. Bogusch, you got headlines for us?
I'll be off tomorrow. We all knew it was coming, but that doesn't mean it wasn't special for CaitlinClark. Officially, the first pick in the WNBA Draft, courtesy of the Indiana Fever last night in Brooklyn.
It's kind of been a whirlwind, but I think the biggest thing and the biggest piece of advice that people have given me is just like enjoy it. Like you only get to do this one time. Soak in every single second. Getting to celebrate with my teammates, my friends, my family, my coaches. It's super special.
One of those teammates, guard Kate Martin, went to the Aces with the 6th pick of round 2. WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert said yesterday they hope to have the league at 14 teams by 2026, then 16 by 28. The 13th club owned by the Warriors starts play next season. Philly, Toronto, Denver, Nashville among the expansion possibilities. The Nets reportedly closing in on Kings assistant Jordi Fernandez as their next head coach. Former Bucks head coach Mike Budenholzer among the others that were under consideration. The Dodgers have hit their first slump of the young season, losing 4 of 5, falling at home to the Nationals last night 6-4. Shohei Ohtani did have a hit, scored 2 runs. Teammate Tyler Glasnow told the Chris Rose Rotation podcast Ohtani handling the Ipe scandal well.
Seems like there has not been any mental sweat lost on his part. And I'm glad all this stuff has come out so he can now just I would say focus on stuff. I'm sure he's going to get asked about this all year, but he'll handle it well.
And Ohtani has always had his teammates' support.
I just think being in the clubhouse, everyone knew right away, clearly he had nothing to do with it. The first thing he did was take my phone. He was figure this out. We all knew early on that Ipe was doing some shady stuff. So I think it didn't seem like he was very stressed about it either. I think when you know that you've done nothing, it's just like it's only a matter of time before they like figure it all out.
I thought this was interesting, and this is Tyler Glasnow's teammates with Shohei, as Bogusch just said. They had no history with Ipe. Like, if you ask anybody from the Angels, or they can't believe that Ipe would deceive Shohei like this, and there was this whole shock. The Dodgers found out that Ipe was gambling when they were in South Korea,
right?
Like in mid-March. Like, who is
2
this guy?
2 months into being around him.
We don't even know this dude, so clearly he's ripping you off, and we believe the story and just get him out of here. So it's very different because it was a whole new team.
Yeah, it's amazing to me. Hearing that quote, like, it just reinforces, wow, Shohei feels like it feels
over.
Like it's over.
Isn't
like
that
he's innocent.
crazy?
It is, but it gets back to the most simple explanation wins again. Like, I feel like we tend to try and complicate the stories. Maybe it was as simple as Ipe was ripping him off.
Well, I don't blame us for that because the story changed so many times. How were you to? Who were you to believe?
But Shohei did not change really that many times, did he?
No, Shohei's didn't change, but Ipe's changed.
Right, and he's the guilty party, so
yeah, he's the con
that his
artist.
story would
but we
change.
didn't know that at the beginning. It was like, oh, everyone loves Ipe. I think gave him the benefit of the doubt that Shohei had actually covered the gambling debts. Like, that they were so close, that's something you could see one friend doing for another friend.
But the Shohei doubt would have made more, like, had Shohei said, I covered the bets, and then said, oh, wait, no, I didn't,
sure.
That would have looked, but I think people reacted like that was the case. And that wasn't the case. Ipe told us that Shohei covered it because that was his first initial cover story.
You want to know the other reason I think why there was some doubt, though, about Shohei is because Ipe gave the interview to ESPN where he said Shohei covered the gambling debts, and they said he was made available to ESPN through an Ohtani spokesperson. Right. It was like kind of like they were all, this was the strategy to get Ipe to do the mea culpa to ESPN and the LA Times, and then that turned out not to be true. So it was, or that, not that wasn't true, but that was dicey.
I still think people need to lose their jobs, like amongst the Dodgers or the Ohtani camp, just for so mishandling this, and just like for like presentation. Like, not to say somebody should lose their job for no reason, but like you got to fire people so it makes it look like you care that people were just inept or were screwing you over too.
Yeah, but if you fire somebody, it brings back the story, though. Maybe the Dodgers just want to play it as low key as possible, just make it go away,
like
put their head in the sand. Yeah, I would think that I understand when you're saying someone does deserve to get fired, was totally mishandled. But if you fire somebody, then you got to relitigate the whole thing again. And that employee, who knows what they know too.
Yeah.
If I were if I were Shohei, I would have fired my agent. Now they already negotiated the deal, the $700 million, so they're probably going to lay claim to that anyway. But all of my marketing deals and stuff like that, if I can get out of it, I'm leaving them. How do you not come to me? How do you not come to me and only rely on the translator and your responses? We didn't have anyone else who spoke Japanese. Get out of here.
But I mean, and look, I'm off really killing Shohei for a lot of this because it does seem like he just really was a victim. But if the interpreter is saying, hey, like, we don't want anything to do, you agent, financial advisor, you have nothing to do with this bank account that Shohei has. He doesn't want any part of that. I think the relationship between Ohtani and his agents and a lot of his team was kind of rotten from the beginning. So, like, look, these are agents. Most of these guys and women will probably be fine. But, like, part of me is like, I mean, if something was rotten from the beginning, are we really going to crush them now? Like, for the end of it kind of going off the rails? It was screwed up. It was screwed up from the beginning.
Yeah, but they caused so much embarrassment to him. That's where I would say, like, first of all, it's the tax people who also, the financial people who were questioned by the IRS, who said even though they thought it could lead to a tax problem later because they weren't sure if this bank account was accruing interest or giving gifts that they needed to be aware of, they still just allowed Shohei's interpreter and took their word for it that Shohei didn't want them knowing about the bank account, the one that the Angels are depositing his checks into. I mean, what was going on here? Anyway, that's who I would fire. Who else we got going on?
We got the Phillies fighting off the Rockies 2-1-10. The Rangers topped the Tigers 1-0, and the Yankees lost in Toronto 3-1. They've also lost their longtime radio voice, John Sterling, who announced his immediate retirement yesterday.
Russell shows muscle. Monsieur Martin est là.
I think that's the one that doesn't mean anything
Yes,
in French. Sterling is 85. He was planning to work a smaller schedule this season because of health concerns, but now it's all too much. He did not miss a game during the entire Jeter-Rivera era. But again, at 85, John Sterling retiring immediately from the Yankee radio booth. And in addition...
I'm just wild about Harry.
Oilers center Connor McDavid became the fourth player in NHL history with 100 assists in a single season. In last night's 9-2 rout of the Sharks, Mario Lemieux and Bobby Orr also did it once. Wayne Gretzky has 11 100 assist seasons. Guys, back to you.
Wow. Getting some trends here in the chat. YouTube.com/InfinitySportsNet, Twitch.tv/InfinitySportsNetwork. The cutoff jean shorts with the pockets showing.
That's a hot girl trend.
That's more of a woman thing.
Work right there.
Yeah.
And then also, do you remember when women, this is from Daily, when women would wear men's boxers as shorts? I do remember that trend. I may have partaken in that.
That I don't remember.
That was cool in the 90s.
High school.
Yeah, I was too young for that. I was probably in elementary school.
But you had to wear something under the boxers. So.
Right.
Like usually bike shorts or something.
And you had to roll the waistband a little bit too.
Yeah, had to roll the
shorten
waistband.
The boxers.
Very good.
Yeah.
Good memory.
It was a good. How could I not? It was a good look.
it was a particularly fond era.
It was a gym outfit too.
What's your take, Maggie, on wearing the athletic wear in public, whatever you call it, like the
athleisure?
No, like women, the workout outfits.
Oh, like to the office?
Yeah, just if you walk around New York City, you will see 9 out of 10 women are wearing that.
I mean, well, New York, you're going to see a lot of everything. I think post-pandemic, we're all just way more casual.
Yeah.
So that's the world we're living in now. For me, it's got to be a singlet or nothing. 855-212-4227. Thank you.
From Wawa.
Bogusch. Coming up, lots more to do, including Nick Saban. We check in with him next. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Cowboy Quickie music, and this portion of the show is brought to you by Wesley Financial. Stuck in a timeshare and want out? Contact Wesley Financial Group now and get a free timeshare exit information kit at wesleyfinancialgroup.com. The voluntary workout portion of the season, of the offseason, has begun, Perloff, and the Cowboys will not be seeing the likes of CeeDee Lamb or Micah Parsons, it is being reported. They will both not be attending the voluntary workouts.
That's
as
a shame.
Contracts talks are stalling.
Oh, that's really bad news. I can't. Poor Cowboys. Yes, this is all shaping up for the Eagles. This all-in offseason is hysterical. Has there ever been a less all-in offseason in the history of offseasons? This should be the Jerry Jones, the owner, should have come out and said, "I am all out on this offseason," because they would have been able to deliver. What has gone right in Dallas? What name one little thing that this franchise has done right? There's nothing.
I'm a little listen, I don't want to crucify guys for not showing up to these things. They are voluntary. You are in a contract situation, but it's just one more thing to add, you know? It's like, and they didn't show up to the voluntary. Whereas when you do show up to the voluntary, it does give you that sort of, oh, we're all on the same page. This is so cohesive. You know, we're all back together. The band's back together. And again, is this going to matter in a couple months? Probably not. It's just...
Well, it feels like it's consistent with other storylines. That you're 8 days into free agency and the Cowboys have signed a long snapper, and that's it. It's just like they don't seem to have a plan here, and this emphasizes it that they didn't make any kind of long-term deal with these great young players, and now that they seem disgruntled, especially CeeDee Lamb. He seems like this.
Well,
is
he said he's going to play
specific.
though. Like he's going to be in Dallas. He got caught at like a Walmart or a Target or something, and they asked him.
But he's been at this is the first time he's missed this particular April workout. He's clearly upset. So you have that. You have Dak hanging out there. There's what is going right. I mean, it's maybe we often overreact to offseason headlines, but this feels like a cumulative effect here.
That's your Cowboy Quickie.
Hey, here's the real question,
I'll agree with you. I don't think it's gone great here for Dallas this offseason.
And you're talking about what if they draft a quarterback? I still think it's a long shot. What if they drafted a quarterback in round one, a guy who won't even be on the field? Say they took Bo Nix at 24. Then what are you saying to the team? They're saying like this year is basically sacrifice?
Well, that's what I said. I think it'd be a huge mistake if they take a quarterback in the first round. It's the message that you're sending is we're punting on the year.
We're rebuilding.
And you did that when you brought back Mike McCarthy, lame duck contract. Dak Prescott playing out the last year of his contract, we think. And CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons, I think when push comes to shove, they're not going anywhere. I think the Cowboys have shown they'll pay guys. They paid Ezekiel Elliott. He had to hold out, but they paid him. They did pay Amari Cooper before they traded him. They will pay guys. It's just not going to be easy. And if the Cowboys' track record is any indication, they're probably going to lose these negotiations because they happen to lose these when they wait and don't pay guys. The price only goes up and up and up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's what's happened with Dak Prescott through the years. This is just such a mess, too, because I think they had a major problem last year and actually 2 years, where everyone knew the offense was running through CeeDee Lamb.
Yep.
The Cowboys never had a plan B, and I thought they might do something this offseason for a consistent plan B, but you see it in the playoffs. Everyone just shuts down CeeDee Lamb, and where does Dak go? He has nowhere to go.
No, and they got smoked.
Yeah, it keeps on happening, and they can't stop the run defensively, and they didn't really do anything yet on that. And man, this draft is actually, weirdly, for a team in the 20s, they have a lot of pressure to get a good player.
Well, that's what happens. Your margin for error goes down when you don't really supplement with free agency. So we can argue whether that's the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do, but you really got to hit.
It's a problem with a lot of these franchises. At some point, you have to rebuild. And they've been trying to keep this going forever and forever and forever. And maybe ripping off the Dak Prescott Band-Aid is a smart thing here. Maybe in 5 years, we'll say, you know what? The Cowboys really nailed it that offseason. But right now, it feels painful.
Coming up, we do have Perloff's draft rumor of the day. We'll get to Nick Saban in just a little bit as well. It is Maggie and Perloff. You're welcome to call the show at 855-212-4227. Check us out, youtube.com/InfinitySportsNet, twitch.tv/InfinitySportsNetwork. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
It's Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
NFL Draft only 9 days away. Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Perloff has been keeping his ear to the ground on all the latest draft rumors.
Give me a draft rumor and I will drop everything to hear it.
We know.
The more rumory, the better.
What do you got for us today?
Okay, so this actually isn't a rumor. This is a report from Adam Schefter, ESPN. Yesterday, put out that Michigan QB J.J. McCarthy's final pre-draft visit comes Tuesday and Wednesday, a 2-day, an overnighter, when he's scheduled to meet with the Commanders. So McCarthy has visited the Commanders, or will have visited the Commanders, the Patriots, and the Giants. So the Commanders at 2, the Patriots at 3, and the Giants at 6, while also conducting private workouts for the Vikings, 11, Broncos, 12, and Giants. So I know.
So half the league.
Not
most of the first round.
Most of the top 10.
Yeah.
So it feels like there's some momentum. Then our good buddy, NFL Network's Peter Schrager, just put out a mock draft, and he had J.J. McCarthy going to the Giants, and not just going to the Giants trading up to 4 with Arizona to take J.J. McCarthy. So the steam for J.J. McCarthy, is the Michigan quarterback, is growing and growing and growing. He seems to be the fastest riser of this draft period and could easily go in the top 4 picks.
Yeah, this has been the riser, as you said, of the process because of the championship in Michigan, because how his coach Jim Harbaugh has been saying he's the best quarterback in this draft. He's the best quarterback Michigan ever had, or whatever Jim Harbaugh was saying about McCarthy. And I think it's hard. I think his evaluation, like I've read this before from Dane Brugler, who does The Athletic. He does it feels incomplete. It feels almost impossible to really project for J.J. McCarthy because we saw Michigan asked so little of him to win ball games for them.
Right.
And so how do you really have like this full accurate analysis? I know the draft is a bit of a projection.
Well,
but again, like this feels more incomplete than most.
But that's the NBA and the NFL. They like the unknown so much more than the known. They like the 20-year-old who they haven't seen do anything yet. They're like, ooh, I could coach that guy up. So that you say that is a negative. For some people in the NFL, it's a positive as well.
So let's hear from Tiki Barber, who all-time leading rusher for the New York Giants, now hosting the afternoon show on WFAN. He said, let's hear cut 10 first, Pete. He says the J.J. McCarthy hype he thinks is actually a smokescreen.
The J.J. McCarthy thing, to me, is the smokescreen, right? He's getting inflated because Jim Harbaugh won't stop talking about him. And now all of a sudden, he's a top 4 quarterback? I don't buy it.
If he's at
just
6,
fallen. He's just fallen.
If
It's
he's
not
at
happening.
6, you don't
I'm
want
just
him.
saying, it's not happening.
You don't want him.
I don't want him.
Okay, then he said he's tired of all this J.J. McCarthy hype because the guy didn't play in an NFL offense.
J.J. McCarthy thing, I'm tired of hearing it. Stop with the J.J. McCarthy thing. I'm tired. He's not. His film doesn't say he's a first-round quarterback. His film doesn't say, I need to get rid of all my assets and go draft this guy. Because a lot of what he does doesn't translate. The scheme that he ran at Michigan, and maybe this is just an indictment on the scheme and not necessarily on him, but it didn't highlight the things that you need to do, second, third level reads and multiple combo routes that you have to get correct. He didn't do any of that stuff.
Yeah, and he's not the only person. Brian Baldinger is another draft analyst who does a lot of film work, also is not very high on J.J. McCarthy and not really understanding why you would go to these lengths to take somebody like him. And let's be honest, it's kind of setting up, if Peter is right, Peter Schrager, who has the Giants moving up to get J.J. McCarthy, and Peter's pretty locked in with the Giants, it could be like a bit of a bidding war between the Vikings and the New York Giants. I mean, this could be one of the best things ever happened to the Arizona Cardinals is that they get now they're the lucky beneficiary of 2 teams who are fighting it out for this quarterback.
Right. Well, there's so many forces at play here. Or is Tiki right where this is a smokescreen where somebody is putting out false information?
It's possible.
And that maybe the Vikings and Giants aren't as eager to get up to number 4 as we think. And by the way, the Broncos, I think you can also include in that conversation. They seem to they worked out J.J. McCarthy, and they could trade up from 12 to 4 as well.
So there's I think, yes, it's lying season. This could all be a smokescreen. The Giants could be using Peter Schrager to try to get something. Who knows what it is? I'm not saying Peter's information is wrong. I'm just saying teams lie to people all the time. The question is the desperation level for the 2 teams you just mentioned. I guess 3 teams. The Giants, the Vikings, and the Broncos. These, I think, are the 3 questions you have to ask yourself. I think the Giants should be extremely desperate to get a quarterback.
But they have a quarterback.
Yeah, but Daniel Jones has had major injury stuff. Like, people like to talk about Daniel Jones and, can he be a great starter in this league and how much he got paid last year? The dude's had major, spine injuries and knee. That's the part of it for the Giants. You're not even sure if this guy can complete a season.
Yeah, but you signed him to that 2-year, $80 million deal knowing all this. So you obviously at a certain point thought he was worth it.
It was a huge mistake, and I think they would admit that now. And so
I don't know. The Giants are not an admit mistake team.
Fair. I mean, they've made some missteps.
But the other 2 teams you mentioned, the Vikings have Sam Darnold and the Broncos have Jarrett Stidham. I think the Giants are basically much better shape of quarterback. Those other 2 teams have to find a quarterback, right?
Agree. I think there is desperation for all 3. But I think the Giants are also fall in that category.
Okay, so that's an interesting take. But I actually think that there seems to be signs that maybe the Broncos are just going to run it with Jarrett Stidham, and maybe the Vikings are just going to run it with Sam Darnold.
That's not true. The Vikings, no. Why would they get that extra first-round pick?
Well, actually, because it came out when the Texans traded for Stephon Diggs that it was the Texans who called the Vikings. It wasn't the Vikings didn't go get that first-round pick. Someone made them this offer, which a trade, by the way, that didn't even seem fair. It seemed like the Vikings were getting way more value. So the Texans wanted an extra second-round pick they could use in the Diggs trade. So maybe that wasn't the Vikings doing anything. And they need a lot of players. I mean, you could make an argument, hey, this is not a great situation. They have a lot of holes that they could use the 11 and 23
but
pick.
You're not going to be competitive in the division if Sam Darnold's your quarterback. I'm sorry. I don't care who his coach is.
Are you going to be competitive with J.J. McCarthy? They might be wondering that.
Well, maybe not, but at least so you have a plan. Like if you're the Vikings and you go into the season with Sam Darnold and we'll figure it out next year, you're getting fired if you don't compete. I'm sorry.
But you think J.J. McCarthy buys you some time. But
absolutely.
But to be honest, what Tiki said is not exactly a hot take in the sense that we all kind of think that. We all watched Michigan play, and we all saw J.J. McCarthy not throw passes. So it is this weird cognitive dissonance about this guy. So I don't think do the Vikings really need J.J. McCarthy? That's a question I keep coming back to.
Well, they need somebody.
Well, they obviously... listen, everyone's making a big deal now. They have Josh McCown in the building, and he coached Drake May. Can they get into the top 3? That's the other thing. Are any of these teams getting into the top 3 with Jaden Daniels or Drake May.
Yeah.
Is that possible?
Well, I don't know. We're talking about, obviously, the 2024 NFL Draft, which is in 9 days, and the quarterbacks at the top. Perloff read us the report that J.J. McCarthy is going to the Commanders, and he's going to spend 2 days there, you said?
Yeah, that's how the Commanders do they've done all the top prospects 2 days. It's not anything significant.
Yeah, they want to see what he looks like in the morning. Anyway.
Yeah, it's weird. They take him to dinner the night before.
Dinner, the lighting's good, and then let's see what he looks like without any makeup on. So I think listen, I think that if I am not only the Bears as a given with Caleb, and then you have the Commanders, and then you have the New England Patriots, I just don't understand why either of those teams would trade out of this pick.
The Patriots.
Why would they trade out of this pick?
Well, there's a lot of people talking about the fact that they bring in a rookie quarterback. That quarterback is doomed for failure because they don't have receivers. Their line is a little shaky right now. Their defense feels like they're one Matthew Judon injury away from trouble.
Yep.
There's nothing around them. So it'd be a lot like Bryce Young in Carolina. That's been the consistent argument. And I get it. Like, why bring in Drake May, who's supposedly a developmental quarterback anyway, and have him throw to nobody? This feels like he's going to have to run for his life there.
Oh, no, but I like it because if you admit the guy's developmental, then he might actually get some time if you're on a team with zero expectations and you're going to go through growing pains. What I don't understand for the Patriots is, and you've talked about this a lot, this quarterback class is supposed to be much better than next year's. Now, listen,
I agree.
You can always have Joe Burrow emerge and whatever. The draft classes can change, but if you're the Patriots, so you really want to go with the number 1 overall pick for next year and really lose that much, I don't see him doing that.
I absolutely agree with that analysis. Yes, this is the year to take them. But you have a 5-year win. It's not like it's good to have time, but you have 5 years, maybe 4 years to win with this rookie quarterback. You need a guy. That's why I like these old guys more than the NFL apparently does. Bo Nix and Michael Penix. They're going to give you a lot of value in those first 4 years. I just don't know what you're getting out of Drake May in New England. It feels kind of like a bad situation.
So I got to be honest. I'm not really with the crowd on this draft.
How so?
I get that it's probably going to be better than next year or whatever, but I don't know. Maybe it's just the cynic in me, but I'm seeing flaws with either a lot of these guys or with the places they might go. And besides Caleb Williams, who I think is going to have a very good career, I'm really struggling here with Jaden Daniels, with Drake May, with Bo Nix, and with Michael Penix to really look at any of these guys and think, man, this is going to be the next awesome crop of quarterbacks in the NFL.
What are you not seeing? Those guys were all amazing in college, except for J.J. McCarthy.
Well, and he won a title. And, he has the winning sort of pedigree, and that people say he's this great leader and all of that. But, can he make the reads? And is he going to be able to, operate at the NFL level when we haven't seen, all of this great, any of this really but any of this body of work? Jaden Daniels is going to be able to throw over the middle. Is Drake May actually going to be able to put this all together? And is Bo Nix, is he just better because he was older than everybody all of a sudden and switched to a different program in Oregon and became good when he was playing against 19-year-olds at 23? And is Michael Penix going to stay healthy? I can just poke holes in all of these guys.
What's your hole on Jaden Daniels throwing over the middle?
Yeah.
He's
the middle of the field.
He's the most efficient passer in college football history. He barely missed a pass. What throw did he not make? It was just completion, touchdown, run 40 yards. He was unbelievable.
It's the fact that he had some of the best wide receivers in college and 2 guys who are going to be going in the first round as wide receivers.
Yeah, but Joe Burrow had the same thing.
Okay. But Joe was better over the middle. This is what the scouts are telling us. And I got to pay attention to what the film says too, which is Jaden Daniels is good on deep balls, but the intermediate stuff isn't there.
He completed 80% of his passes. There's no drops to point to. And honestly, I understand about the receivers, but I wonder, too, if maybe you're not giving enough credit to Jaden Daniels in that formula as well. It could be chicken or the egg.
Yep.
I mean, Jaden Daniels right there. I mean, all year long, every LSU game, they put up a graphic. Jaden Daniels was a little bit ahead statistically of Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow probably had the greatest college football season ever. Mm-hmm. It was an incredible team. Jaden Daniels matched him every stat for stat. He was just as good as Burrow.
Okay, and Burrow is had some health issues, right? And he's even a guy who's not a huge runner.
That
and
issue I will give you.
Jaden Daniels, who likes to use his legs, and a lot of times I like that about quarterbacks, but it does expose you to risk. And Jaden Daniels is not he's a tall guy, but he's not a big guy. He's not Josh Allen, a linebacker body playing quarterback.
Yeah, but this is 2024. We already saw teams pass on Lamar Jackson for that very reason, and they all regret it. You don't think about that anymore. You can't talk about running being an injury risk in today's game. Also, Jaden is a superior runner.
He's a great athlete. He's amazing.
They were saying during the pro day that he's faster than Neighbors. I can't believe that's true. He didn't run a 40. That he might be in the 4.3s. He is insane. So he's a very unique skill set. I do not see a guy like that next year. Shedeur Sanders is going to probably be the number one quarterback. He's turning 23. He's as old as Bo Nix.
Yeah, and let's see what shape Shedeur's in after, unless that offensive line gets a lot better. He got really hit a lot last year.
I do agree. This is the year. Get back to, you look at Quinn Ewers next year and Carson Beck. This is the year. Drake May, I've been sort of critical of, but the dude's a stud. I think there will be 4 Pro Bowlers in this class. I want to do another long-term bet. This is going to be an all-time class. It is definitely going to be, by the way, all-time class, and you never had 1, 2, 3, 4 quarterback. It could be a record-setting draft for quarterbacks.
Yeah, and the last time we did 1, 2, 3, how's that going so far? It was Trevor Lawrence, it was Zach Wilson, and Trey Lance.
Yeah, but these guys are so
Just because they go 1, 2, 3, 4 doesn't mean that it's
oh my God, these
automatically
guys are
awesome.
So much more accomplished than that group. Night and day. These guys have done so much more, put so much more on tape than particularly Zach Wilson and Trey Lance.
855-212-4227. All right, your thoughts on the NFL draft, you are welcome to weigh in. And JJ McCarthy, should teams be really falling and tripping over each other to try to trade up to get JJ McCarthy? I think that's a mistake. Maggie and Perloff, Infinity Sports Network. I caught it. Thank you. Professional broadcaster over here, guys. Fear not. Coming up, we do have Nick Saban. We check in on what the former Alabama football coach is up to. This is riveting stuff. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Maggie and Perloff show. Okay, this is not on the rundown.
Yeah.
But the Saturday Night Live from this week is getting a lot of attention because Ryan Gosling was on there.
Yeah.
There was 2 skits that stood out. There were 3 skits. CaitlinClark was on and making fun of the host, Michael Shea, for being anti-WNBA. That was funny. Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt did a song at the beginning about how Ryan can't stop being Ken from Barbie.
Okay.
Hysterical. But then there was this Beavis and Butthead skit that was really, really funny. But the characters kept breaking into laughter like the whole time.
Yeah, like what Jimmy Fallon used to do all the time.
So
I don't like it.
They were going full Jimmy. Yeah, okay, so you don't like the breaking into laughter. This woman, I thought, almost, it was a hysterical sketch. There were these 2 guys sitting in the crowd of a sort of a NPR-style Q&A, and they looked exactly like Beavis and Butthead, and they were unaware that they looked like Beavis and Butthead.
Wait, hold on, Perloff. You're saying that woman, Heidi Gardner, you and I met her.
What?
Do you not remember us meeting her from SNL?
I've never met Heidi Gardner.
You have. We went to the premiere of the movie Air. Remember Ben Affleck and Matt Damon were there and Viola Davis, and we got to do this really cool thing where we got to see that movie at a movie theater for press, and they were all there, and Heidi Gardner was there, and we talked to her about how she was a Chiefs fan. Dan Patrick was there. You don't remember this?
I remember Dan. I never talked to Heidi. You might have talked to her. I wasn't with you.
No, you were definitely standing right there. Remember we talked to Hannah Storm? Jeez, I'm just name dropping people all over the place.
She was on Saturday Night Live at the time.
This was like this was a year ago.
So she was in the cast of SNL, and we talked to her?
Yes.
I didn't talk to her. You talked to her.
In my recollection, you were there.
I remember that Adam Schefter and Keegan-Michael Key were on a double date, and that was wild.
That was very fun.
I was like, they're friends? That struck me, but I would have remembered talking to an SNL cast member.
I'm telling you, we did.
I did not talk to her.
We
Did you
talked
get
about
a picture?
the Chiefs. I didn't ask her for a picture
No,
because now it's like, hey, we're both here. We're chit-chatting. Couldn't ask her for a photo.
I had a 5-minute conversation with Dan Hicks about how many times he's been confused with Dan Patrick over the years. And Hannah said the same thing, that many people think she's married to Dan Patrick. She is not. They were lovely, but this Heidi Gardner. Anyway, but that was a funny sketch. So you don't like the break into laughter. You're saying keep it together?
I think so. I mean, it's been funny in the past, but they couldn't hold it together to do the sketch. Bogusch wants to weigh in.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys mentioned this while I was walking in. I read that she did not see them
before.
in makeup until that moment.
But they do a driver. Oh, just so
they hid the makeup from her, so her reaction would be natural and live, and that's why she broke, because she looked.
It's
and
hilarious.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
But the sketch would have been funny on its own. I thought it took away 3%.
I didn't mind it because I watched it after I read the story that they did that to her on purpose. So it didn't.
Yeah,
it didn't bother me.
actually,
But Fallon was
watch
the worst.
Did you watch a lot of Beavis and Butthead?
No, knew they existed, but like I couldn't tell. I couldn't make a reference other than like the weird laugh. That's all I got.
How'd you miss it?
Beavis and Butthead. What?
You're right in that wheelhouse.
For
Anyone
a long
else?
time, I didn't have cable, and it was on MTV.
Are you Amish?
No.
You grew up without cable?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Like in a shack in the woods?
No.
What's going on?
Are you Amish?
It's a crazy story. In Queens, where I lived in Queens, for whatever reason, they could not put poles like in the sidewalk to run the cable wire. So the only option was to run the cables on the back of our connected brick houses.
Okay.
And some of my neighbors would not let them do it. So until DirecTV was a thing, I didn't have cable.
You poor deprived child.
Yeah.
How'd you get through without MTV?
I made it to like 13 without it.
I had a friend whose parents wouldn't let her watch MTV, and this is like a parenting thing I think about a lot. Parents would not let her watch MTV all through high school. So the moment she got to college, she just started binging the MTV. We wouldn't see her for days sometimes. Like, do you realize the show called The Real World's been on since we were like 10? But this is a parenting thing. Like, you want to deprive your kids of something, and I think you're trying to do the right thing by them. But all it does is lead to them, you fetishize it. Like, I remember kids who couldn't have sugary cereal. And
Yeah,
I get
totally.
it. But then they'd come to my house and they would just totally binge on Lucky Charms like it was crack.
Right. That's the alcohol theory. In Europe, you start drinking when you're 12, and it's no big deal by the time you're 18. When you get to be 18 in America and drink, you're like, let's get blackout every night.
Everyone's binge drinking.
So, you keep it away. But that being said, by the way, Beavis and Butthead, you missed out. That was the greatest show. For me, by the way, I think it hit me even more than anyone, even though I was what year was it? Like
You were in your 30s.
No, it's it was 93. Yeah, like all the songs they would play are like my favorite songs. Like those are like my big song. Like it would be Pavement and Ween, and they were totally. Mike Judge is a genius. I mean, he is one of the smartest human beings ever. So I'm totally down with it. But and I think everyone thinks it was a dumb show because they laugh like that. It wasn't. It was super clever.
Yeah, it was a phenomenon, that's for sure.
Wait, so did you miss Beavis and Butthead?
No, I got it. But I was pretty young, so I didn't get a lot of the references.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I remember going to see the movie in theaters, and it was pretty cool. Bogusch, you have headlines, yes.
I do, and while we wait on the TV ratings of last night's WNBA draft, the CaitlinClark effect being felt at Fanatics, the company says almost every size of Clark's Indiana Fever jersey has already sold out.
That's such a funny way to put it.
Right. Well, what I don't understand is, like the normal size is like extra small through large are gone. There's a couple on the bigger end of the spectrum that are still out there, but I don't understand why they're sold out. Like, you're going to make more. Just tell me I've got to wait now 3 weeks, not 4 days to get it.
Right.
Take my money now, and I'll be patient. Saying it's sold out is like, you're SOL. We're not getting any more.
Right.
Like, you got to be
and
quicker.
never printing them again.
Right.
It's a publicity thing, but I just think it's funny every size. Like, they're trying to make a point that it's not just young girls who are buying this.
I guess. Or that they only had 2 of each prepared, ready to go. I don't get it.
It's like, so all the triple XL, people walking around with a Caitlin. It's just such an odd way to put it.
If you're Husky, you still got a chance at a CaitlinClark jersey. The intrigue last night in Brooklyn began with the second pick. That's when the LA Sparks took the impossibly tall Cameron Brink from Stanford. South Carolina forward Camila Cardoso went third. The Chicago Sky, who also took Angel Reese at number 7. Play-in basketball starts this evening with the Pelicans hosting the Lakers, with the winner facing the Nuggets in round 1. Then the Kings host the Warriors, with the loser going home. Draymond Green said on the Draymond Green podcast he hates the play-in, but
when you look at the play-in and what it's done for basketball, it's the best thing ever created. I don't know who came up with it. I know Bron said they need to be fired. If they were fired when Bron said that, they need to get their job back because the play-in is insane.
I think it was Adam Silver. I mean, so he gets the credit for it, right?
Someone
in the
somewhere.
office.
And I was with LeBron at the beginning, and maybe this will flip and maybe more than not, we'll get too many Bulls-Hawks games. But it is certainly worth, whoever this is, year 3, year 4, they basically are batting 1,000 in this thing.
Yeah, I mean, I still think we all want, man, if they mixed up the East and the West, then the NBA playoffs would be so amazing. They can never do that, right?
Just 1 through 16?
Yeah, if they just did 1 through 16, it'd be so great.
That's the final Infinity Stone on the gauntlet of the NBA.
I mean,
playoffs.
the NBA's tried to. This in-season tournament's pretty radical. Why not do that? I guess the travel would be ridiculous.
The players would complain about the travel. I don't think it's that. I think that is not as extreme as I think the players union will say when the NBA tries to push that at some point.
No, I think they just want something in return. And they would be smart to use it as a bargaining chip. It's like, all right, you want us to do more travel, then we want more revenue, or we want better something. Like, don't take it off the table, but use it to get something the players want.
Don't you think, though, that the owners might have the biggest objection? Because then isn't it harder to make it? Like right now in the East, there are owners who would miss out on playoff games because they weren't in the West. Don't you think they have some pretty loud pushback on that?
I would not do it the top 16 teams in terms of overall standings. I would have still 8 from the East and 8 from the West.
And then line them up 1 through 16?
Yes, kind of like you would like a March Madness where, you have some automatic qualifiers. Exactly. Like you have 8 automatic qualifiers from both conferences. You have 6 that made it through like we normally do. Then you have the same playing games you have now. And then after that, we mix them all up. That's how I would do it. Now, the NBA Playoffs is pretty great. I don't know if it needs much radical change, and this small tweak of the plan has actually somehow made it better, which is awesome. But I think that's the last bit of it.
Ooh, we'd get it. I'm looking at the standings. We get Heat Celtics first round and Lakers Thunder first round. If you did top 16 teams, I guess it's not really that big a deal. Like it really. Why is the NBA in a place where the 10 seed is a title threat right now?
Are they really a title threat, though? Is the question. Well, I don't.
The Warriors.
Yes, Perloff.
I mean, are the Warriors a title threat? They're certainly not your typical 10 seed.
No, I think on odds they're pretty low still, though. They're sitting around with the Pelicans and Pacers.
Right, but this year it kind of feels like a one-off that there's so much parity, right? I hope. I don't know.
I mean, last year the Lakers were in the play-in and they went to the conference finals.
And the Heat.
And the Heat went to the finals, right? And they almost didn't make the playoffs. They lost the first game and should have lost the second game.
Yeah.
Bogusch, what else we got?
Far from all of that, the Nets have reportedly landed on Kings assistant Jordi Fernandez as their next head coach. Now, I worked 2 Nets games this season, just weeks apart. Jacques Vaughn was the coach for one of them, Kevin Ollie for the other. And now they're moving on to Jordi Fernandez.
Oh, imagine if you get more fill-in dates, you could basically fill out half of the NBA assistant coaches.
I mean, if
eventually cycle through.
If I get one next year, it'll be 3 coaches in 3 games.
Wow.
With Jordi.
Who's on that?
The game notes.
What's the game plan there to build up that roster, by the way?
Oh,
it's only a 4-hour show.
Yeah. I mean, probably to follow up on our Astros deep dive, probably trading Nick Claxton for something would be their first thing.
Honestly, we are treating Bogusch like he is a beat reporter for every single professional team.
Well, it's funny, like
regardless of sport.
I have a better Nets answer though than the Astros one.
We were talking about the Vikings earlier, and we were like, man, if they don't have some kind of plan at quarterback, like the Brooklyn Nets are a team with 0 chance of being good in the next 5 years. 0.
I just wonder how Sean Marks is able to appoint another coach.
That is incredible to me.
Yeah.
It's just it's a lost franchise.
Are they trying to sell it? Is that possible? Do you think Joe Tsai wants to get out of the NBA or no?
No, I think the problem is Joe Tsai likes being an owner, but doesn't like. There's a lot of cost-cutting complaints about Net fans that he's not all the way into being an owner. That he has said certain things that have rubbed fans the wrong way. Like he's just almost happy to be there. Not necessarily going all in on, like he said, something like I'd rather have a nice team than a good, something about weird things about
honestly,
roster construction.
The best shot he's got is with the Liberty.
That's why I think he'll hang around a little bit because the Liberty, I think they're definitely being title contention. I think they'll probably win the title in the next few years. So hang around for that, and then maybe you bow out. I don't understand why they're asking for 100 draft picks for Mikal Bridges, who very obviously wants to be a New York Knick.
Yeah.
The guy is he's on the Jalen Brunson podcast more than Jalen Brunson. I'm like, how many times are you going to be hanging out with these Villanova guys? Like, you're on the other team.
Yeah.
And they did play college basketball together.
I know, but it's. I mean, if I was a Net fan, and Bogusch could make, I would feel a little away about how Mikal Bridges has acted since these guys clicked up.
Well, good thing there are no Nets fans.
I was going to say, and that concludes our Nets coverage until Bogusch calls another game.
Here's the thing about the NBA. It seems like to me, like you could talk about GMs in the NBA, that it might be the easiest job. Basically, you wait around and hope you're in a draft where LeBron or Wemby is there. Like, there's no, like, you can't build a champion.
I mean,
like, you need a Wemby.
Troy Weaver, the Pistons, somehow still kept his job yesterday.
I don't know how that
I
happened.
do not know how that happened.
But if these guys win the lot, it just seems like there's so much luck. And the Nets, there's no guy, there's no Wemby, there's no star ever come here.
I think they do think that they have a chance at Donovan Mitchell.
So what?
He's not going there.
Well, maybe.
He's not staying in Cleveland.
But he's not going there.
He does
no chance.
No chance is not a statement that any of us can make.
I can make that statement.
You could be wrong about it.
Why is he going to go there?
Because they're going to pay him a lot of money.
Okay, just stand around.
And he's going to be Knicks, New York adjacent. He wants to live here. He wants to go to Mets games with us, Pete.
With cost-cutting measures going on around him, yeah, that's where I want to sign.
No, he's going to play with Noah Clowney.
Oh, come on.
And Cam Thomas.
You
don't even know who Noah Clowney is.
Wait, you made that person up.
Who? Javion Clowney?
How about the LeBron?
Javion Clowney.
Is the LeBron Bronny show? Didn't Jay-Z recruit LeBron at one point? How about you bring the Bronnies to Brooklyn?
The Bronnies?
What do you call the LeBron Bronny combo?
Do they have a nickname?
No, we need one. Father and son.
How about you get LeVar Ball? LeVar Ball.
So we talk about potential multiverses of Maggie and Perloff. There's got to have to be one about what happens if Kevin Durant's foot isn't on that line, or if Kyrie doesn't break his ankle in the playoffs. Because the Nets story might be very different. I'd be real, and I hate the Nets.
Yeah. I got to be honest. We just talked about the Nets more in this 5 minutes than 4 years I was on radio in New York City. What else we got?
The college football transfer portal is back open today. Texas A&M safety Jacoby Matthews among the first to jump in. That makes 19 scholarship Aggies to hit the portal since November. Meanwhile, the post-Nick Saban makeover continues at Alabama. At some point, there will be actual football. Without him, he'll just be home watching, and he's worried.
My biggest concern is being with my head coach, Miss Terry. I've never, ever had to watch a game with her. So I'm a little concerned.
You call your wife your head coach. A do or a don't? I'll answer. A don't.
I need a break from this. I'm sure they're sweet, but like between I sent him to the pharmacy for the first time. He just wrote his first email. Now I'm worried she's going to elbow me on the couch, watching football. I need a break. I need a Miss Terry break.
There's another cut in there where he talks about, do you have this one where he talks about the chores that he does every day?
I don't think not in front of me. Maybe Pete has that quicker than me.
I think it's cut 15. Can I have that?
The day after I retired, I got the 12 commandments of retirement. So I've tried to live by them, but I found out that if I do my chores, then I can go play golf. So I get up early and get my chores done, and then it's like, now do I have a free pass to go do what I want to do?
Miss Terry's a tyrant.
Wait, can I get more? This is the chores that she gives Nick Saban. Pete, can I have cut 16, please, sir?
I make my bed.
Okay, good.
I take the garbage out.
Wow.
I have to wait for her to eat together. And I have to leave a little food just because that's polite to tell people that you really thought it was good, which I grew up cleaning my plate, so that's not kosher anymore. So.
Okay, couple things here. Number one, I make my bed, I take the garbage out. He's 72. I mean, are we really giving him pats on the back for doing this very normal stuff?
Wow. And do we parse every word? He makes my bed? Do they not share a bed? When you say I make our bed?
I don't want to go there. And then the other thing is, so he gets a wow because he takes out the garbage. Wow. And then the other part is you're not supposed to clean your plate anymore because that's impolite. I've never heard that before.
Wow.
You make your bed? Wow. Take out the garbage? Whoa.
Wow.
Ooh. Is this a thing? I thought I was pretty good on etiquette, especially anything that has to do with food because I grew up in the restaurant business. I didn't realize that you're supposed to leave a little bit on your plate.
That's news to me.
I never heard that.
That ain't happening here.
Never heard of it. Wow.
One last mention of the retiring John Sterling, the legendary radio voice of the Yankees. This is likely now his final home run call.
And the pitch hit in the air to deep left. It is high. It is far. It is gone. It's a grand slam. non dimentica. That ball sure traveled far. Giancarlo, he hits a grand slam deep in the left field seats.
Sterling's abrupt announcement came yesterday afternoon. He was not scheduled to work last night's game in Toronto to begin with. The Yankees lost it 3-1 for their first back-to-back defeats of this young season. And with one game left in the NHL season, the last playoff spot in the Eastern Conference is still up for grabs.
Now to Brinkett, over the blue line to Dylan Larkin. Now to Raymond. He shoots.
Oh!
He scores! Oh my goodness! Lucas Raymond wins the game for Detroit in overtime. Final score: Red Wings 5, Montreal 4, and Lucas Raymond has done it again. Wow.
That's Ken Cal on Red Wings Radio.
Could you turn that down?
All the
It really is
details
annoying.
of that 5-4 win over Montreal keeps Detroit alive, but not in the postseason just yet. The Capitals control the last wild card spot. They beat the Bruins last night 2-0. If they win their final game, they're in no matter what. The Red Wings and the Penguins could still catch them with help and wins themselves. Guys, back to you.
Bogusch, you're getting some love in the chat. YouTube.com/InfinitySportsNet, Twitch.tv/InfinitySportsNetwork, where people are also sharing how they didn't have cable, but were able to watch certain things. A lot of DVD burners and a lot of bootleg CD chatter. So, did you do any of that to try to get by?
Well, in like 1991, there were not DVDs or computers to burn things, so you had to go to, like you did, you had to go to a friend's house. Like you needed a friend that had something, cable, VHS tapes.
Tape trader.
Yeah.
But you didn't have a VHS machine either?
Oh, no, I had a VHS machine, but doesn't mean,
Did you grow up in an igloo? What
No, but you couldn't burn a DVD.
Yeah, no.
I had a copy a trade movies. Like I've got this one, you got that one. Friends could tape things off a TV that I couldn't watch.
I didn't have cable for a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, I had to walk to friends' houses to watch important Mets and Rangers games growing up.
Right, I had to go watch Monday Night Raw somewhere else.
There's that.
How did you guys survive?
I don't know.
Should we be asking for more credit for that, Pete? Are we tougher than we thought?
We should.
You could really do when I was a kid. I couldn't even watch the game.
I had one summer where there was massive flooding in Bayside because of a bad storm, and all of our cable lines were underneath the ground. So our cable and our internet also, nothing. So I had no cable or internet for an entire summer, which actually ended up being the best thing that happened to me as a kid because, one, you get out a lot, but two, I discovered two classic shows, Seinfeld on reruns and That 70s Show. I would not have actually probably seen those shows had I had cable. I would have been watching Nickelodeon or whatever,
right.
Watching a bunch of baseball games. It was
silver linings.
Yeah, sometimes no cable is the best way to go.
Let me blow your mind, youngsters. When I first got the internet, it was on the phone line, and if I was on the phone, on the internet, you couldn't call my house. You had a busy signal.
That I do remember.
Oh. There's a whole lot of people that
was
make a call.
Thing. Right.
When I was on Nick.com trying to play video games, that's when my mom would be like, get off the internet.
Yeah, well, your fancy friends had the dedicated line just for the internet. That was like the first flex.
That was the rich people house.
We got a second phone line just for AOL. Look out.
That horrible noise. That horrible fax-sounding noise.
Horrible but beautiful at the same time.
Exactly. Especially when you were waiting for it to go through. Sometimes you couldn't get the connection, then it did. You're like, yeah.
It's like some kind of digital donkey. It's terrible. Thank you, Bogusch. Coming up, one NFL player not telling the truth. We'll tell you who it is next. Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, mornings here, Infinity Sports Network. All right, there's been some NFL players who, well, we're not really sure if they're telling the truth. EJ's going to throw one out. We'll tell you, is this person lying or not? Do you believe it? EJ, who's number one?
All right, so let's begin in Las Vegas, where Devontae Adams, who keeps trying to tell us how often he wants to be a Las Vegas Raider, was once again asked, does he in fact want to be a Raider or does he want to be traded? This is what he had to say.
I wouldn't say I ever wanted to be gone. If I wanted to be gone, I'd be gone by now. So I would not pick to come here. This is where I want to be. And obviously, if you're not winning and things are not going the way you want, you either want to see things change to get headed in the right direction, or something else has got to change. So I don't want to go anywhere. I want to be a Raider. So hopefully that answers everyone's question.
Yeah, I appreciate them doing that media availability right when the PA system is coming on and announcing Good Morning Raider Nation.
We've been there, by the way, where we try to do a show with the PA system right over your head. But I believe him. There's nobody more loyal to the Raider Nation than Devontae. He's like Ken Stabler, Tim Brown. This guy's love for being in Las Vegas seems unending. It doesn't seem like, how many times have we asked Devontae Adams, do you want to leave? And he said no. I think he is truly dedicated to this team. I have no idea why, but he loves it there, it seems like.
Well, I mean, lifestyle, I'm sure, is cool, but living in Las Vegas. But here's the thing. I think this is because this is what we want for Devontae Adams.
We want him on a contender.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We want we want this to be fake. We want them to be behind the scenes working to get himself out of this and with a better quarterback, with a more stable situation, something that's a little more, I don't know. I have no idea how Antonio Pierce is going to do in his first full season. He might be great. But I think we want Devontae Adams on a more established contender so we can watch him play deep into the playoffs. Like, this might be true. We don't want it to be true for him.
Yeah, but to answer the question, I believe him, though. I do feel like he doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to be just dumped at the trade deadline to a contender and be, in the mix on a great team. Like, what team would it be? Like, say, the Chiefs.
The Jets get a lot of publicity about this because of Rodgers.
Yeah, I'm not sure that he wants to be a Jet.
I don't know, but anywhere with a more competent quarterback situation than the Raiders,
Rodgers.
which is Gardner Minshew right now, and a big question mark beyond that.
Yeah, he clearly left Rodgers. So he said, get me out of here.
I think he left Rodgers because he thought Rodgers was retiring and didn't want to be in Green Bay for the rebuild. Okay,
I'm not sure about that.
Let's move on. Who else is not telling the truth?
Okay, do you believe this quarterback? How about Jared Goff, who had a lot to say about his time in Detroit?
In hindsight, it's the greatest thing that ever happened to me for my career and my development as a human. But I was shocked. I was confused. You're all the different emotions of what happened. When did it go sour? How did this all go this way? And so that lasted for quite some time. But then I think very soon after that was the feeling of like opportunity in Detroit.
Mm-hmm. Jerry Goff. I believe him. This is 100% believe. Even if you're playing with Sean McVay, you got to a Super Bowl and McVay's like the offensive genius. I mean, he's really feels like he's coming to his own in Detroit. People appreciate him in Detroit. And I 100% believe that this was the best thing that ever happened to him.
Oh, my God. I totally agree with you. It's underrated what a big comeback this guy had. I mean, he was top of the game, Super Bowl, MVP candidate, then just nobody respected. He was Blake Bortles. And now all of a sudden, he is with Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell in Detroit. It is an unbelievable marriage. It's a crazy story. Then there's this backdrop of him complaining about the negativity in Detroit too, which is weird, but God, there is no happier spot for a quarterback than Jared Goff in Detroit.
And think about it. When you had the stories coming about L.A. when he's with Sean McVay and the Rams, is that remember McVay had to read the defense for him in the helmet?
Well,
and it was kind of like Jared Goff couldn't figure stuff out, and he was much younger in his career. As opposed to Detroit, one of the most aggressive fourth down teams, feels like all the confidence in the world is in the offense and the quarterback. So that's a complete flip-flop, too.
We all know what really happened with Jared Goff and Sean McVay. Goff said something about Sean McVay's girlfriend, I think now wife, on social media. And he's gone 2 months later.
He had to get up out of there.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, Jared Goff can't read the defense. I don't seem that wasn't a problem en route to the Super Bowl. I'm just saying there seemed like it got really personal there. Next.
All right, so let's go to Maggie's Bills, where somebody who I don't know if she's loving too much right now, Von Miller, had a lot to say on social media about the team's future. He posted a meme of Brandon Beane coming out to a concert similar to Lil Yachty with the caption saying that the Bills were going to trade up for a wide receiver. Quote, "In Beane we trust. Bills Mafia. Let's go." Maggie, do you believe it?
Yo, Vaughn, not helping, dude. Not helping. Everyone and their mom knows that the Bills need a wide receiver. Don't need you on social media basically telling everybody and telegraphing this is what the Bills are going to do. First of all, you have no idea. And secondly, not helping, which is exactly what I would say about Von Miller for the last year and a half. Not helping anything or anybody. He has been one of the worst signings that the Bills have had, and that's saying something because they've had some really bad ones.
Okay, but are they going to trade up? That's the question.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if maybe they even try to trade down if they like a wide receiver in the second round to try to get a couple more picks.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, to go, what are they? What's their number? 28?
28.
28 to, say, 6 to get Rome Odunze or Malik Neighbors or Marvin Harrison. You don't have to trade that much if it's not for a quarterback. So the Falcons, when they did this for Julio Jones, gave a first round that year, along with their second and fourth round picks the following year, and first and fourth round picks in the next draft. So 2 firsts to go from 28 to 6 to get Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Oh, no, this is a franchise who once gave up 2 firsts to go for Sammy Watkins. So I've seen some pretty bad ideas, but that was a different regime.
Can you imagine Marvin? If you could get Marvin Harrison, I could give you Marvin Harrison, Maggie. You would not go to extreme lengths to do this?
I actually think it's more about Josh than it is and the receiver and the right person for him. And Marvin Harrison would be great, but they can't do this kind of thing. They can't be forfeiting future draft capital, I don't think. To get up that high, I don't think so. So, yeah, Vaughn. Not a fan right now.
I didn't think so. I'll ask one real quickly. Brandon Aiyuk's agent denied rumors that he wanted to be traded and that he requested a trade from the 49ers. Do you guys buy that?
I actually don't buy that because Brandon Aiyuk is rightfully pointing out that there was no real report from anyone reputable that he demanded a trade. But you're telling me he doesn't want to get out of there? Of course he does.
I would not want to get out of there. I just want to get paid and stay. I don't know why I'd want to leave. Everyone loves Brock Purdy. You love the 49ers. You've had success. You're knocking on the door.
I think he's mad because they're not going to pay him.
I know, but maybe you can get something worked out here because they're not just going to let him go for nothing.
Yeah, but the normal wide receiver way is to leave. That's what they do.
Well, Deebo Samuel did a hold in, and he got paid.
Yeah, but you can't pay them both, I don't think. I think Aiyuk really is going to be quite unhappy this year.
That's it for us. Thank you to EJ Stewart. Thank you to Pete Bellotti, Andrew Bogusch, Andrew Kaplan, Weedos, Coffee Drinkers. You guys have been awesome. Again, you want to find us, the Infinity Sports Network is where we're at. YouTube.com/Infinity Sportsnet, Twitch.tv/Infinity Sports Network. We will see you tomorrow.
We are the New York Knicks.
You're in a 5-minute break.